Good night. Thank you. Actually, this hat goes over there. Yeah.
And we're getting you a brand new hat, Perry. By the way, I don't think I let people in on the fact that Perry's getting a brand new top-of-the-line Stenson's fedora.
Thank you.
All right. Earned it.
Well, this is a collector from Chicago, or no, from Barron's. But,
Good night, guys.
Night. Ugh. Fuck.
Good job, Perry. And good job, no baby mode again. It was very, very good. We had,
I'm getting better at it.
You're getting much better at it. You dip into it slightly, but then you get out of it before it really sets in. So you did a good job. Thanks. Yeah, I am staying safe. It looks like that fire's out. It's just a lot of smoke, but that was insane. I mean, if you guys saw the video I showed earlier, it was insane.
Tom!
What?
Contact Whitney Cummings. Make sure she comes here tonight, please.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah, I don't know what you want me to do about it.
What?
I don't know what you want me to do about it.
I said contact Whitney and make sure she shows up here tonight.
I don't think that's going to be possible, Perry. Dusty says, I don't remember seeing my donation on stream. We got to every donation. There's none left over, so you might have missed it. But every donation was played.
And the whore sucks off Don Barris.
Are you calling her a whore?
Yeah. If she's not here, she's a fucking whore. Oh!
Okay. All right, good night, Perry. I'll talk to you later, okay?
Thanks. The hat goes on the fucking
We got some
couch.
stuff to do tomorrow. You got some cameos to catch up on tomorrow. Disconnect him. There he goes. All right, guys. We'll see you Friday. I'm gonna go check on this fire. I don't think I'm in any danger, but it was it was definitely a weird. Earlier tonight. I mean, again, if you joined late, there was this huge fire outside my window that I showed. And it was like looking outside and seeing Blade Runner, like the opening of Blade Runner. It was insane, and it was not like a regular fire either. It was a rager. Yeah. I'll show it again before we sign off. I'll just go to the reaction thing. Let me see. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Here we go. So I took this video while we were on earlier. If you missed it, this was the this is the fire. This is on the balcony of my apartment. And there it is. It's just insane. Yeah.
You are an animal, and I don't know what to do with you.
What now?
You psycho bastard.
Oh, is this you kidding?
Yeah,
Okay. You did a good job tonight. Good job.
thank you. Get Whitney Cummings to come on my house after
All
her
right, I know you
set.
got a one-track mind for that, Perry, but I got nothing to do with that, really. I don't.
Well, then give me her phone number so I can contact her.
Again, if I say I have nothing to do with it, uh, what what can we do with that information? So if I have nothing to do with it, how am I going to get her phone number? So I really. All right, I'll let you take out your garbage, okay?
Good night.
Seriously, you did a good job tonight. We'll talk tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, I don't want to get involved with his love life. Colin probably has her number. Ugh. So yeah. So that yeah, that fire thing was weird. Now it's like all sirens. There's like a ton of like fire. I think maybe every fire department on Long Island was fighting this thing. And I was trying to go back and forth, but like muting my mic because my windows are closed, but still I know that bleeds over the microphone. So I was trying to avoid that as best as possible. Plus I was distracted a lot of the stream, and I don't. There was a period of time where I was completely away from the stream, which very rarely happens. Actually, when I was out taking that video, so I don't know what he was doing on the stream. I'll have to go back and look at it. I don't know how good or bad he was at engaging you guys. But yeah, it seems I still see a ton of sirens out there. Is Whitney Cummings on Cameo? Yes, Jose. I'm on Long Island. On Long Island, not in Long Island. I'm on West. I'm in Westbury on Long Island. But I've only been here about a year or so. Prior to that, I was in Brooklyn. But yeah. Yeah, I didn't think Whitney was on Cameo, and it seems to me too. They're dueling Whitneys now because it seems not to critique anything, but it seems like there's one Whitney's definitely stronger than the other in terms of content. Let's just say. We're in Brooklyn, Gary. I grew up in Brooklyn. I grew up in Marine Park, and then I lived in Carroll Gardens. What's weird is my commute. It's funny. My commute to New York City though is much easier from Long Island than it was from Brooklyn, which is strange. One Whitney is a TTF. Yeah, like there's like I know there's been dueling Amy's and we've talked about that, but there just definitely seems to be like there's two of a lot of people. It seems like there's two of a lot of celebrity names because like there's one and then there's somebody else that's like somebody else doing it that doesn't have the same rhythm. To put it mildly. Your mom grew up in East New York. My parents are both from Brooklyn, pretty much the same area. I'm trying to think. I don't have any exciting location stories about heritage in New York. It's pretty basic. No, nobody's assigned. There could be multiple whoever's. Obviously, it's just interesting to me that as somebody just watching it, you could tell. Bill, you dated a girl in Brooklyn, and they had anchovies and onion sandwiches on Christmas. Oh my God, glad you didn't marry that one, Bill. Ugh. I go back to Brooklyn quite a bit. I was not recently, not like the past year. I'm not there all the time, but I go back quite a bit. Huh. I think if you're gonna do a cameo from somebody, it should be worth your while. I notice a lot of people, even like really like B-list people, they charge way too much on Cameo, like well over $100. Any idea who the girl that lives in another town is, TomB? I don't know what you mean. I don't think there's been too many uh, Christina Applegates. You might be the only one, Mark. Yeah, deep fake would be good. Like you just get like a half-assed um, impersonator, and then you get that deep fake technology, and that's amazing. Like it's funny when you look at the deep fake stuff on YouTube. It's better than most movies that, like, especially with the de aging. Like there's been what was I watching? It just came up randomly on my YouTube. But that movie, the Irishman, that came out like I don't know, I guess a year and a half ago now, and it was kind of like derailed for like some like really bad de aging CGI, or not bad, but it was just obvious and cheap. And then somebody else did it with the deep fake technology, and it looked amazing, better than anything in the actual movie. So that stuff's really impressive. Deep fake Tony Hawk admitting that skateboarding is a game for kids. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know where the Whitney stuff's gonna go, because he's constantly nagging me about it. I mean, it's good in a way that it keeps him engaged, and it gives him, like, he can be like really nasty on the stream, but then he sees her name and he perks up a little bit. Is there a deep fake Christopher Reeve? I haven't seen that. I'll take a look at that. That's cool. But yeah, I don't know how hard the one I saw recently that was pretty good. It wasn't perfect, but for like a first attempt, it was really good. I don't know how many people saw the sequel to The Shining that came out last year with Hugh McGregor, called Doctor Sleep, and there's a scene in there where he's supposed to be talking to his father, who is Jack Nicholson, and in the movie, like the way it is, the guy, I think Henry Thomas is playing the Jack Nicholson role, and they kind of go for the look, but they don't have, they probably should have spent money and tried to get some kind of Nicholson likeness, but it's not there. But anyway, somebody did a deep fake of it, and it looks fantastic, like really good. So if you look up Doctor Sleep, um, Doctor Sleep deep fake is good. I like Doctor Sleep a lot. I've not seen the director's cut yet. I saw it in the theater when it came out, and and a funny thing is, I don't love The Shining. I mean, I like The Shining, but I know it's terrible to say. I think it's a little overrated, but I really liked Doctor Sleep. I dare to say I liked it better than The Shining. I thought it was great. I thought Ewan McGregor's great in it. I thought it really was effective, fantastic sequel. Yeah, I'm sure it cost a fortune to get Nicholson's likeness, but when they did it on whoever did it on YouTube did a pretty terrific job. I didn't see. I see. I got to see the director's cut. I've been it's been on my to do list for the past year or so. I just haven't gotten around to it, but yeah, I really liked it. I really and I didn't expect to enjoy. And I like Hugh McGregor just about. He's one of those people I'll watch. I think because I liked Train Spotting so much when that came out, and he's just one of these actors that I'll even watch him in a bad movie. He's been in a lot of bad movies. I'll watch him in a knowingly bad movie. There's very few actors I could say that about, but fantastic. I'm surprised it didn't do that well at the box office. It wasn't a successful film financially, but it was very good. Maybe it's the title. Yeah, I don't know, and I know people love the. I'm gonna get a cam set up at some point. I'm in the process. I'm gonna be moving, which was planned a long time ago. So I'm basically moving in June, which sucks because I also got to fly out to. I like James McAvoy too. I got to fly out to California to help him with the Adult Swim thing, and um, I'm also moving. So at the end of June, not June 26th, but close to it. So once I get set up in the new place, I'll do like a camera thing, but not now. But yeah, and get the Doctor Sleep thing. There's one scene in there particularly that's so disturbing, where you almost give the film credit that it goes there, not to give it away, but man, it still. I don't want to say haunts me, but when I think about it, it gets me very. It's very. It's the kind of and when you see it in the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's the kind of thing where movies don't normally go there, and this fucking movie goes there, and you almost got the baseball kid. Man, I remember watching that, and whether or not you have kids in your life, if you have any, if you're a father, if you're an uncle, if you're an aunt, if you're a mother, I mean anything. You watch this scene, and that boy, it stays with you. It really does. I saw and I saw it in an empty theater because there was nobody in the theater when I saw it. And man, it just knocked me on my ass. But yeah, well, it's not just killing a kid. It's kind of how they do it, and they stay on it. Where most films would cut away, and cut to the next scene, and it's just implied. This movie stays with it, and it is very effective and very disturbing. And I give the director a lot of credit for doing it. Yeah, it's worse than killing the cats. Cats, I don't give a fuck about cats. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm not a cat guy. Not that I want to see them killed, but it wouldn't bother me if I saw something with cats in a film. I'm not a big cat person. But yeah, I know that, and I think that's one of the last new movies I saw. Like after, I might have saw a couple of other films that came out like last year, but then that was it. There wasn't too many. There wasn't too many other movies. I saw Parasite in the theater like right before the pandemic, and it was okay. I didn't get the hype. Yeah, I think somebody said they like The Shining. You're like that. Yeah, you can't see Doctor Sleep without seeing The Shining. Obviously, there's no. I think it still works on its own, but I think you actually have to see The Shining. My thing about The Shining, and I've said this before, is that I just think Nicholson was miscast for it. I think they should have had somebody else in that role, because the whole point of the film is a person's descent into madness, and really in the opening scene when Nicholson's getting doing that job interview for the Overlook, he's kind of already crazy. He's got that Nicholson-esque craziness to him. So I just, and then when he turns like really batshit crazy, it's like, yeah, but he's kind of always been crazy throughout the same. If you put somebody else in that movie, you figure somebody who's at the time of that same ilk, like a Robert Redford in The Shining, and then he turns crazy, then it's a different movie because you're used to Robert Redford as like the straight man or whatever. No, I didn't like Parasite, and I didn't dislike Parasite. That's not the right way to say it. I didn't love it. I liked the first half of Parasite when they were like con artists. I didn't like the second. I didn't like the second half of it. Just man, I can't think of. I'm trying to cast somebody in The Shining who would have been big in like the late '70s. Elliot Gould. Probably not. So Robert Redford's the person that came to my head, but there could be somebody else. I don't know. My point is, somebody straight would be better than Nicholson, who already hams it up. But anyway, it's an unpopular opinion. Soupy Sales in The Shining. That could be something. But yeah, I haven't seen any movies that came out since the pandemic, except Borat 2, which we talked about and I hated. But I haven't seen any movies that came out in the past year. And maybe I'm missing out on something, but it's just I haven't reached for anything. Oh no, that's not true. I saw Tenet in the theater and I didn't like it. Oh, James Caan would have. That's a good choice. James Caan could be good in The Shining. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that because he has the alcoholic part. He could play because also the guy in The Shining is like an abusive alcoholic father, husband. So James Caan would be good at that, but not crazy until you think, yeah. I thought Tenet was, and I love Christopher Nolan. I really like Christopher Nolan. I've pretty much every movie he's come out with. I just felt that, yeah, Rudy Giuliani was a pig in that movie, but don't you think they also set him up and edited that way to make him extra piggish? But I thought Tenet was the worst of Christopher Nolan's indulgences. It was just so, and I saw it in the theater when theaters opened back up in New York. It was the first time going to the theater in a while, and it was just jarring. It wasn't the movie to open up theaters. It was just, God, it was just like a headache. Gene Hackman. That's a great call for Shining. Recast The Shining with Gene Hackman. And then and Tenet was just it's just too dizzying, and I would never watch it again. It's fine to see, and plus I think the lead guy is underwhelming. He didn't grab me. I thought the casting overall, outside of what's his name, Kenneth Branagh, as the bad guy, outside of him, and Michael Caine's in a smaller part. Outside of that, I thought the cast was a bore, and the score was terrible. Normally, Christopher Nolan has Hans Zimmer doing the scores, and I guess Hans Zimmer wasn't available, and he had some other guy. Don't even know who he is. It was just noise. It was just noise. I hated it. John Travolta, I don't see. I will say in the Shining, too young. He's too young in 1980. But I like, so far out of all the names, I like Gene Hackman without the mustache. Harrison Ford, I can't see because I think Harrison Ford's too young at the time in 80. No, I'm Not Married. But I don't know. There's Donald Sutherland, I could see. Although Donald Sutherland, I don't think was A-list marquee. For that movie, you have to be A-list. Don Knotts, yeah, I could see that. You'd have to be an A-list actor in 1980 who had been doing movies for quite some time. That's why Gene Hackman's a good. I never saw Children of Men, Bill. Whenever that came out, I just missed it. Never saw it. John Voight's a good call. I could also see Burt Reynolds, but at that point, he was a little goofy with the Smokey and the Bandit and Cannonball Run era, but I could maybe see him. Powers Booth would be really good. Kurt Russell, way too young in 1980. Is it? Okay. Yeah, of course I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood opening night. I've said this before. I loved it. I've seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Never saw it at home, but saw it in the theater multiple times. The last time I saw it was last February at Tarantino's theater, the one, the New Beverly in Hollywood last February, right before the pandemic. Yeah, love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'll go on record as saying is my favorite Tarantino, hands down. No, I never saw A Kiss Before Yesterday. I hear it's good, though. Judge Reinhold? Oh, are we talking about Judge Reinhold for Shining? Yeah, that wouldn't be good. Ryan O'Neal, I agree, is not scary enough. Yeah, you got to get somebody. So it's got to be a really good actor. It's got to be somebody who can play semi-straight. You're basically just an asshole at the start. And you're kind of, and then it's the whole movie's about the descent into madness. So who can play it? See, Dennis Hopper, I think, suffers the same problem as Jack Nicholson, where he's kind of already crazy. Bruce Stern, yes, but then suffers the problem of not being A-list enough. Somebody asked me at Terry Gilliam movies. Mixed bag with Terry Gilliam. I really like Time Bandits, um, and I like a lot of Terry Gilliam, but he goes a little too avant garde for me. Perry in The Shining, yeah. I saw Brazil like long, long after it was like a big deal, and I never, it's like Blade Runner. I get the aesthetics of it, but it never grabbed me the way it grabs other people. Harvey Keitel easily can do The Shining, but again, yeah, you got to think like an executive at the movie studio. Who are you green lighting to star in this movie? It's got to be somebody that puts asses in seats, and that's a short list. Somebody that you paid money to see. Nowadays, it's even it's a ridiculously short list. Who puts asses in seats now? But back then, 1980, who puts asses in seats? It's a very short list. De Niro didn't. De Niro wasn't a big deal in 1980. I mean, he had done Taxi Driver, but he was still kind of indie, really, until Raging Bull came out in '80, and that catapulted him. But in 1980, he wasn't the marquee yet. Jonathan Harris, I'd like to see Jonathan Harris. How dare you? Indeed. I love Jonathan Harris, by the way. I could talk all night about Jonathan Harris. Gary Coleman in The Shining. Yeah. Yeah. Or you could say like who if you did the Reshining now they've done Reshining, they've done The Shining like the TV movie version with who was it, fucking Steven Weber or something, I think it was. Terrible. Richard Dreyfuss isn't bad. And speaking of Richard Dreyfuss, I could also see Roy Scheider. I could see Roy Scheider as Jack Torrance. He would do a good job. Yeah, I never saw the TV movie version. The Shining starring Bruce Lee. I don't know. It's a good game. I'm racking my brain like who could do it. Gary Busey. Gary Busey is so crazy. He was even crazy then. Like there's no. John Amos would be actually a good call. I like John Amos. Clint Eastwood's not a bad. It would be going against type for him, like playing a normal, like father, like writer. I don't know if he could do it, but I'd like to see it. I would go see A Shining with starring Clint Eastwood. Favorite sitcoms off the top of my head, in no particular order: The Honeymooners, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Amos and Andy, The Andy Griffith Show, particularly the first 5 seasons. All in the Family, first 7 seasons. And then there's a large list of Cheers, but then there's a bunch of that I like for nostalgia purposes that I don't consider great, like Different Strokes, Three's Company. Yeah, I Love Lucy. I'd put up there. Benson. I've got a huge thing for Benson, starring Robert Guillaume, which is kind of like a sleeper show. Not a lot of people know about it if you didn't grow up with it. All-time comedy hero. I don't know if I have a comedy hero. It used to be Howard Stern because that's really who formed my sense of humor. I grew up listening to Howard Stern. I grew up in New York when he started on WNBC before he was syndicated or anything. So really that's who it was for a long time. I don't like Jim Carrey. Sorry, I just never got into him. Although I like some Jim Carrey movies. I like the first Dumb and Dumber. I never liked Jim Carrey, and I hate the dramatic Jim Carrey. That's I liked the Private Parts movie when it came out. I remember liking it, not loving it. It was okay, but it doesn't hold up. It didn't age well. Perry's your comedy hero. I could see that. I don't think watch Private Parts now. And apart from the stuff, about his, wife and stuff. And obviously that's no more. It's just dated overall. Like this, the style of it's dated. Yeah, I agree. Jackie Gleason, the greatest comedy actor ever. Although I think he got a little carried away with himself once he moved to Miami. Like if you ever see that video footage of him getting the train down to Miami, and he was like this big party train, and then he did the variety show in Miami. I'm not really that into that era of Gleason, but yeah, you can't really you can't fault Jackie Gleason. He was just phenomenal, so far ahead of his time. Another innovator too, just like Desi Arnaz was an innovator. Pretty much the reason why you have archives of TV is because of Desi Arnaz, and yeah, wasn't there a deal? I remember there was a deal with the Private Parts soundtrack because I remember listening to Stern at the time, and the one thing that was annoying about listening to Stern is whenever he had something to promote, it was kind of insufferable. Like the movie, of course, but then whenever he had a video coming out. But I remember, wasn't there like a gold disc version of the Private Parts soundtrack? And if you found that, you won like money or something. And I remember like somebody found it like years later, but there was a big deal made about it. Like whoever's gonna find like the gold disc, there was like one special gold disc version of. It's funny, Bill. You mentioned Desi Arnaz. You go. I mean, like again, I spend most of my time watching YouTube. There's a great Letterman interview, early David Letterman, and I love the period of the late night with David Letterman, early '80s, because he wasn't getting huge guests at the time, but he had Desi Arnaz on in like 1983 maybe, and it's a great interview. He talks about I Love Lucy. He talks about making television back then, and like he does a performance too, like a musical performance. You could probably skip that, but the interview itself is fantastic. He also has a Carson interview that's really good, but if people don't know like what Desi Arnaz did for television, you should really look it up. Who says they love Dick Van Dyke but can't stand Mary Tyler Moore? Now, to be fair, I don't like Mary Tyler Moore in the Dick Van Dyke show, but Mary Tyler Moore on the Mary Tyler Moore show is fantastic because she's a very generous performer, and that she lets everybody else gets the laugh. She doesn't get laughs. She's the straight person to all these great characters, and and she's the figurehead of the whole show. I mean, you think about the lack of ego there. Gleason ruins The Honeymooners for me. You gotta explain that one. No, I didn't know Perry when he was smoking crack. That was before my time. Long before my time, thank God. It's funny. Hero mentions Young Frankenstein. I there's a thing. I saw Young Frankenstein when it was on like TV. Like the first time I saw it, I think my aunt was babysitting me or something like that. I remember it was like, I don't know, it was like the mid '80s maybe, and it was on like regular TV, and it didn't play for me like a comedy. I thought I was watching like a real Frankenstein movie, and I like all the jokes went over my head. It's like Rain Man watching Who's on First and not getting that it's supposed to be funny. So even now, when I look at Young Frankenstein, I kind of see it through my, like my 10-year-old eyes, and not getting any of the jokes, and it just all over my head. And I should sit down and watch it beginning to end just to cleanse myself of that. But it's just it was a terrible first way to watch the movie, because I think you got to be a little older to get it. But I thought I literally thought I was watching Frankenstein. That's what I thought I was watching. I thought I was getting away with something too, like watching something I wasn't supposed to. But yeah, I agree with whoever said Gene Wilder. I agree with Gene Wilder. What was the movie that Gene Wilder did with Bette Midler in the '80s? It was like, was it Haunted Mansion or something like that? I remember seeing that, but I have no memory of it. Terry Garr was a bombshell for a long time. Like she was, you look at her when she's on that one episode of Star Trek, and then look at her like throughout the '80s into the '90s. I am 47 years old, to whoever asked. So I kind of grew up in the late '70s, '80s. So I have all those like, and then I didn't have cable growing up. So really, the only stuff I watched was on local TV, and they basically whatever rerun was on. So that's probably why I have a fondness for Haunted Honeymoon. Yeah, thank you. I was trying to think of that recently. Thank you. I just turned 47. I don't feel 47. Mentally, I'm like in my 20s still. Physically, maybe I'll be lucky to pull off 39. Thanks, Liz. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how great I look lately, but I gotta get my ass back to the gym. Much like Perry, although I'm not in Perry's shape by any means. Yeah, Perry's my elder. I'm a 47. I'm a 47-20 star. But didn't we do an age check in here? Like, wasn't the average age like 30s, 40s? I'm sorry, like most of the people that watch this, I mean, at least the people that were hanging out for the after hours stream. I thought it was like some 20s, 30s, and then like 40s. Perry looks like a bouncer at a lesbian bar. 36, 32, yeah. Late 30s. I'll try Jill had a birthday recently. Happy birthday again, Bill. Yeah, I feel like Liz. Yeah, turning 40, act like you're 20. I kind of the same way. Though, if you ever find a guy that lies about his age, run. Because men should not lie about their age. Or do the thing like, "Oh, how old do you think I am? How old are you? How old do you think I am?" Like when you say "How old do you think I am," it's like you're basically searching for a compliment, or something. You shouldn't be embarrassed about your age. And I'm very happy to be the age I am because I loved growing up when I grew up. I loved growing up with the influences that I had, and God, if I grew up 10 years earlier, I don't know what kind of person I'd be, because I feel like I grew into the internet too. I wouldn't want to be too young, and then like basically grow up with the internet. Like I feel like the internet came along when I was done with high school, and was becoming an adult, and it didn't rule my life or anything. But yeah, so I like, ask me again in 10 years how much I like my thing. Thoughts on Andrew Dice Clay? I like. I mean, I don't know. I remember getting. Again, you got to think of like the time period he came out. I remember like hearing that first HBO special he had, or that first album, and when you're a kid listening to that, you think you're like listening to like the dirtiest thing ever. It's like it was like contraband listening to one of his albums, and at the time it was funny. I haven't listened back to it in a long time. I always liked that one album he did at Dangerfields in the city. I think it was like called the Day the Laughter Died, part 1 and 2, where he just went up on stage with no material and essentially bombed and released it. I always thought that was pretty good. By the time he came out with Dice Rules and was playing like Madison Square Garden, I think it was over for him. He rose and burnt out real fast. But I don't think I don't know. I don't know if he stands the test of time. And I think he's a really bad person too. Like, personally, I think he's a bad person. Like, not a bad person, but I don't think he's a good guy. I've heard enough stories to form an opinion. I don't think he's a great guy. But he was also on Different Strokes. He played, what was his character in Larry, something. I think is he was like a school like hood on Different Strokes. uh, but yeah, I mean I don't. I actually saw Dice live in like 2006, and a friend of mine got tickets, and I didn't want to see it, and it was okay. He had like some new material, but it was just like, ugh, I don't know. Just he never. There was always the rivalry of Sam Kinison, Andrew Dice Clay. I was always Team Kinison with that. I just don't think and I think there were always rumors too, like how there's rumors that Kurt Cobain wrote for Hole, like that first Hole album. They say, like people say, like, oh, it's so good because Kurt like wrote those songs. There was a rumor that somebody else wrote Dice's like first like big act, the one that broke him, and then everything after that was like him writing, and there was like a major difference. I don't know how true that is, but yeah, again, I don't think he stands the test of time. Like how many comedians can say that? Like comedians that like you loved for like your entire lifetime, a lot living ones, and again, everybody always goes back to like George Carlin and Richard Pryor, but I love you more than a friend. Yeah, I never get like Dice. Like, is he like I like he again? We talked about this too. Like these character comedians that had characters like Bobcat and Emo Phillips. You can go through. There's a whole list of them and Dice. And then when they abandon, you get old enough where you have to kind of abandon the character. And like Dice now, he's like a high. He almost has like this like old like Swifty Lazar type. He's like got these giant glasses and like hair, whatever. I don't know. He's just I can't get my finger on him, and I don't know. So I guess the answer is no. I don't like Dice. It's the short answer. I actually, after we talked about it last time, yes, Norm Macdonald is also my personal favorite. It's Norm Macdonald for. I think anybody who's a fan of comedy, I've never run across someone that said they don't like Norm Macdonald who's seen his stand up. Yeah, so Norm Macdonald and everybody else as far as. Not a rumor. And Billy Corgan wrote most of their other album. Yeah, I believe it. I believe that. I got a couple of Stetsons lined up for Perry. We just got to go through. He's got to look at some pictures and pick one. But he's disgusting. Are you talking about Dice? Disgusting. But he's not disgust. I mean, do you give him a pass because he was doing a character? I don't know. I haven't heard any of his material in a long time. But again, I think it was because when I was a kid, it was like listening to him was like. It was like watching the Playboy Channel or something you weren't supposed to do. When you were a kid, you weren't supposed to hear that stuff. But I just and then Dice was one of those people too, that like during that like boom of like the everybody had a reality show. He had like a terrible VH1 reality show in like the mid 2000s that was terrible. Um, how and when did William Randolph Hearst stop getting invited? There was never a stop getting invited. He just kind of fizzled out, I guess. I don't know. It was never a stop getting invited thing. I've never met Norm. I'd like to have met, and I'm not big on meeting people. I really don't care, because I don't get starstruck. But I would I would like to meet Norm. I would like to. I've been around, like I've been in his vicinity, but I've never made that like interjection where, I've intruded on his space. But if the moment was right, I would like to. I vaguely remember Dice versus Artie, but I only remember when it was originally on. I think Dice was trying to do a comeback, and he was using Artie to kind of catapult himself. And I think Artie kind of called him out for it. I've heard that Joey Diaz hates Perry. Yes. Again, I saw somebody in the chat getting like mad or like annoyed during the stream, where like, oh, all of these O&A, Stern, like Red Bar references on Perry. Why are people making them? It goes over his head. I don't know. It makes me laugh when when Joey Diaz or Joe Matarese is asking for advice, and Perry has no idea who it is, or is like debating whether or not to go on. Perry's debating whether or not to go on Joe Matarese's podcast. That makes me laugh. So I don't. I can understand why somebody would be like, but you can't complain about somebody else making it a tip. Artie, after his overdose, I mean, what overdose? You're talking a number of overdoses. He's been pretty quiet for the past year. Apparently, he's clean. Do I still listen to the Ryan Seacrest show? No, I do not. Do you mean the Stern show? Is that code? Best Stern whackpacker was Eric the actor, to me, hands down. And why? Well, part of the reason Eric the actor was so great is part of the reason Perry is so great. Is like, here's a guy with some clear disadvantages. I mean, Eric particularly, I mean, he's had a rough life. He's in that he's in that wheelchair. He's can barely function. It's hard for him to do the simplest of things, but yet he is such an asshole, and you have to love that duality. Because if he was like a sweet guy, it'd be boring. The same with Perry. Perry was like a sweetheart, 100% of the time. I mean, we wouldn't be sitting here talking. But I put him at the top because but there's also strong contenders. And I think Faster Billy just listed them all. Eric the actor, Elliot Offen, Beetlejuice, and Hank the Angry Dwarf. That's the Mount Rushmore. Anybody else is like B level, C level. Those are the Mount Rushmores. Hank, and I love Elliot, and I could listen to. I mean, I've been on YouTube and I've just listened to endless Elliot, and whether there's different versions of Elliot Offen too. It's like when he first started coming on the show where he was just kind of acting like an innocent, and then I kind of like gangster Elliot too, where he talks about his criminal past. You have to ask him how his neighbors put up with it. Again, he is a very cool. That Trevor is super cool. Like, I mean, he's the one that gets it the most, because where Perry's screaming at his computer, I think that's Trevor's kitchen, technically, but he hears all that shit at all hours of the night, and he doesn't complain, and he's a fan of the streams, and he's just super cool. You couldn't ask for a better neighbor in 101 than Trevor. So, yeah, I'd like to get him on as a guest at some point. I think that would be a big deal, Trevor coming out. So, but we'll see. Maybe when I go out there, I'll talk to him. But he's cool. I mean, and he puts up with a lot of shit. Even when Perry had that, what was it, that I can never pronounce it right. The fish, the can of fish that that stinks. The bulging can of surströmming, whatever it is. Perry left it in his hallway. Trevor knocks on the door. He doesn't. He's not like yelling at him or anything. He's like, "Hey man, you got to take care of this. This has got to go," and he was cool about it. And he said, I'm sure your viewers are gonna hate me for this, but you need to take care of this right now. And and he did, and he was right, of course. But he could have handled that. The things that Trevor puts up with, anybody else would like go running to like building management, or like complain about it, or like say like, hey, this guy has a Ring doorbell he's using on his stream. I don't want to be on there. This guy is screaming at all hours of the night. This guy, he's doing something in his, I can't get to sleep. I have to be up. I mean, think about just the endless things that he puts up with. So yeah, that's why I really, really, one of my favorite things to come out of the streams is the Trevor love. Where people like are not like kidding around. Like they legitimately like Trevor to like ask him, Perry to do things, involving Trevor. But yeah, so maybe when I go out there, I'll be able to talk to him, and I'd like to get him something nice. Just for being cool. Yeah, actually, Hero says that we should send Trevor a gift basket, which includes some noise canceling headphones. That's actually a great idea. But that apartment 101 was empty. When I went in there last February, it was empty. It was empty for a while. I don't know how long he's been in there. It's definitely less than a year. Because there's a lot of turnover in that complex. Perry's the one. I would have to imagine Perry's been the one in there the longest. Oh, thanks, Anfluzo Feet. It's nice of you to say. I'm sure he already owns your earplugs. He would have to if you're his next door neighbor. You would have to. He would have to. He would have to have some kind of. And Perry's alluded to like him having a wife or something like that, or a girlfriend. I've never seen her or heard of her. That's okay. I'm good living in New York for now. Faster Blade. I'm not looking to move out to Reseda. I have thought about like moving to California eventually, but I think I'm off that. I think I'm off that idea. I used to think that was like Orange County or San Diego, not LA. Like I thought like that, but I just think it's. I just don't think it's. I don't think it's in the cards. At least not anytime soon. And I no matter where I go, it's like I'm still, I don't know. I think sometimes where you are, it's like ingrained in your DNA, and I think New York is ingrained in my DNA. And as much as I enjoy traveling and going other places, I always like. There comes a point where I'm like, get me the fuck home. I've had enough. But I know I have friends that like they're always moving somewhere. Like I have a friend that moved out of the country. And I respect that, but I just, I can move around New York, but I've never had the balls to actually leave New York. Well, that's a good question. Has Department 202 ever complained? I don't think so. He's never had a complaint. The only time he's had complaints, like recently, is like he got in trouble for yelling in the hallway during one of the streams. Like, and even then, like me saying he got in trouble, it was like, the apartment manager mentioned it to him that he shouldn't scream at the top of his lungs in the hallway. That was about it. But he's been really lucky, and he's never had too much. Where else have you traveled, Liz? I haven't traveled anywhere recently, but I've definitely tried. I've almost checked off all 50 states. I've not been to Hawaii, Alaska. There's a few. Not been to Wyoming, Arkansas. There's a few that I've not been to, but I've been through most of the country, and some of Europe. But I've never been anywhere where I felt, oh, I should relocate here. I've had that mild thing where it's like you kind of get brainwashed when you travel to get someplace. Oh, I could see myself living here. It's like if like the first time you go to like Mexico or something like that, like, I could see myself. Oh, why don't I just live here? It's beautiful, and then you get over it. Yes, I've been to New Jersey many, many, many times. I've been through New Jersey more than I've been in it, but I've been in New Jersey quite a bit. I like New Jersey. I mean, I don't. Some New Yorkers have a thing against New Jersey, but I don't. I couldn't live there. My thing about New Jersey, it's too spread out. Like even with like exits, like they're forever apart. And if I was to live in New Jersey, it would be somewhere like Hoboken or, well, that would be it. It would just be Hoboken, because at least it's close to the city. But you're in New York with a thing against New Jersey. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's something about New Jersey that New Yorkers don't like. I don't necessarily have that. Yeah, I've been in Perry's apartment many times, and I'm going there again next month. Fuck. It's another reason why I'm trying to move these auction items is I want to be able to fucking move in there when I go in there. I want to be able to like walk around. But I like this, like I'll tell you what I like Red Bank, New Jersey. And I only go there to go to the Count Basie Theater every now and again to see a concert or something. But I always liked that. I haven't been to every. My passport isn't like that thoroughly stamped, but I've never been to Australia or New Zealand. I'd like to go to both. I've been to the UK probably the most out of anywhere internationally. I've been to Ireland a number of times, and jotted around Europe, but I can't say I have a vast experience with Europe. I've been to Mexico. I'd like to go to South America. But again, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So, did he attack me at the Windy weekend picnic? I don't remember that. I remember him attacking me at the pool. I don't remember him attacking me at the picnic. Did I say I wasn't going to hang around tonight? Did I actually say? I know I say that, and sometimes I actually don't, and then there's other times I say that, and then we're here till 5 a.m. But there won't be one of those nights. I had a jolt of energy today. I had a lot of shit that I needed to do today, involving my move and a bunch of other like shit that I had to take care of today, and it was kind of a race against time to get home in time to do the stream, and then that fucking fire broke out. And I thought I was going to have to end it. I was like, yeah, I am probably going to have to evacuate because this fire is out of control. And even the video I showed didn't do it justice because that was like a good 20 minutes or 30 minutes after I noticed it. Before then, it looked like it was a wave of fire that was coming right for me. So that's probably why I got a little surge. But yeah, I'm looking at the time. It's exactly 6 hours now. Now's probably a good time to wrap it up. Because then these also when I upload it to Patreon, they're so much longer with these, and I'm wondering like the people that want to see like the Perry streams, are they watching this too? Because you're really just watching a car like drive towards the moon endlessly. It's a dog snoring in here. That's okay. I don't know I don't know what does and what doesn't get picked up on the mic. I know my clicky mouse used to. I know my crickety chair sometimes comes over the mic. I don't know if this dog snoring is coming over. Yeah, I'm gonna get some kind of not animated screen, but I'll just get a camera, and we'll do like maybe we could do some extra Perry stuff or whatever. Like I said, I'm in the process of moving, a slow process of moving, and I just don't want to set anything up that I got to break down. I'd like to do a little road trip with Perry, but not with him driving, because him driving is a nightmare. You would think that, just by kind of peripherally, looking in on him and watching these streams, you would think that he would be a super cautious and safe driver. He's not. He's an asshole. He's an asshole driver. He's not. I won't say he's an asshole as a person. Yeah, moving sucks, and I'll tell you what. I hate moving, and I did it last year. I did it last summer, and I did it the summer before that. So this is my third year in a row of moving. And this is going to be the last one for a little while. But yeah, I've moved like 3 years in a row, just through different circumstances that I won't get into or bore you with. But yeah, I'm dreading it already. But yeah, I mean the pro tip is to hire movers to do the heavy lifting, because I didn't do it. I didn't hire movers last summer. I did basically everything myself with the help of a friend, and man, it's what kind of illegal stuff am I into? So yeah, there's no. It's just the luck of the the way things worked out. And before that, I was living in the city. I had an apartment in the West Village. Uh, this is a few apartments ago, but I was grandfathered in to. I basically took over a lease that was ridiculously low for the area, and then when the lease was up, basically you're subletting, and when the lease is up, it goes to market value, which was insane, and there was no way I could afford to stay there. And then there's this other apartment that I don't know, it's weird. Like I told you guys about my friend's aunt, my friend in Ireland whose aunt passed away and who lived in New York, and I've been doing all the groundwork of taking care of her, with the funeral home and handling the cremation, and I'm still petitioning the court to get access to the apartment, but she lived in like the East Village and had this like huge apartment she'd been in since the 60s, and I don't even know that we don't even know if like she rented or owned it, but if she owns it, or owned it, the family said, oh well, you could have the apartment if you want. I'm like, yeah, I would gladly take that, but I don't know what the chances of that are. I'm assuming she rented it and probably paid like a ridiculously low amount of rent per month. And then now that she's gone, the owner, I'm assuming, I don't know this, the owner of the building's probably like cannot wait to turn around that that apartment and get some market value, whatever that will be. I don't know. But I'd like to basically live on Long Island and have an apartment in the city. That would be the perfect combination for me. Because I like the space. One thing I like, every apartment I've owned in like New York, you had a trade off on the space. Perry came very close to living here, like about, I don't know, like last summer ish, when things got really dicey with money, where basically I had run out of it, and the account that I was paying his stuff from was basically near zero because I was afraid to check it for a long time, and I was like, I don't know what else to do. I've exhausted all things that I could think of to do, and at the time he had just gotten on Cameo, which is was a nice little stop the bleeding thing for a little while, but yeah, it was coming. I was like, yeah, he's gonna have to. It was gonna be like The Odd Couple. He's gonna thing. Why was I taking care of Perry? Because nobody else was. Because he would have been homeless. He would have literally been homeless. He would have been on the street. And he's. I'm not as taking care of him now because he earns a living now. Between this and other things, he's able to pay his own bills. But there's other debts and shit that like his cousin is kind of acting as his accountant right now because he owes his cousin a ton of money because his cousin chipped in when he lost his money. I went into the disability thing on a previous after hours. I think it's on Patreon. The bonus portion of it where I talked about it is on there. Why me and not anybody else? Well, nobody else stepped up, not everybody has the means to either. I mean, I was lucky enough that I had owned small business. I had invested well. I had basically this money market account. Not to give away too much personal information, but I had a money market account that I basically paid him out of that I never looked at. It's like when you're broke and you don't want to check your balance at the ATM when you take out like $40 at the ATM and you're in your 20s and you're going out for the night, and and then there's that question like, would you like a receipt? Would you like to show your balance? I'm always like, no, I don't want to see that. I don't want to know how close I am to the brink. That's kind of where I was like last year with that account, which is what I used to pay his rent and other shit. So. Stocks are very risky, I've pretty much. I don't. I mean, I don't really. There's no such thing as a sure thing, But I don't know Perry. I don't know how Perry would live with living. It's not the dog's not farting. He's snoring. But I thought he would be kind of a sweet roommate in a way, and I mean that in a way like I think he'd be very grateful that somebody was taking him in or something. I was thinking about it. I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to get a new place. I'm gonna have to get his own wing. I want him to have a separate kitchen because I don't want to share kitchen. I don't want to, I was. It was close. It was close. Luckily, things didn't go that way. But I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna. Oh, he's yeah. Okay, yeah. It does. It gets a little loud. I would love to do a 24-hour cam if he would sign off on that. Because like I said, there was this. I've been watching a lot of other streamers just to get a taste of what other people do. Blaming my farts on the dog. And there's one guy, I forget. I don't know what country he was from. It could have been any. It was some foreign country, but he set up a 24-hour camera, and when he wasn't streaming, he went to bed. But he had like a speaker set up where tip comments would wake him up, but you had to pay a certain amount, and then he'd have to like wake up and address the comment and then go back to bed. It was something like that. But yeah, I would like to. Yeah, this dog's a pug. It's not my dog though. I basically watch it. For somebody else, but I have it enough. I have him enough, and I gotta take out. I gotta take him for a walk in a little bit, and probably smell smoke from that fire. But yeah, like something like other camera angles, and he again, it wouldn't be like spying. Like he had to sign off, and also remember, you can't strut around nude or anything like that. We don't want a bathroom camera, as much as people ask for that. We definitely don't want to see that. Yeah, I would like to do that, and I would like to realistically try a 24-hour stream even with me. Like we'd have to work in shifts, like even moderators and shit. Like we'd have to like figure out, But I've had to log into his computer. Like he's asked me to. Can you log into my computer and do this X, Y, or Z? And I've done that, and like his camera will be on, or for whatever reason, maybe it was left on it, and I could see him like watching TV or whatever, and sometimes I'll just watch it for a little, like, wow, this is, I can maybe see why people would be interested in that, but yeah, like I don't know, like him, like him eating breakfast, like I used to. One time I didn't mean to, but I interrupted when he was a Jehovah's Witness, one of his meetings, like that he'd have on his tablet. He'd be at the dining room table dressed up in a suit, and like listening to this thing and like doing his own like readings and stuff, and I felt kind of weirded out by watching. I was like, ugh, this is weird. He actually gave away the Frosted Flakes, if you can believe that. I don't know how you give away the greatest cereal known to mankind, but he gave away the Frosted Flakes. Should rage me. But yeah, anyway, my point is, there's plenty of things to see. And then occasionally I have to log into the Ring Cam quite a bit to like download stuff to edit into the stream for the YouTube versions. And there's times I just like catch him like coming in and out, like unscheduled, and I'm usually fascinated by it. Like he's like has a bag with him, and I'll be like, oh, I wonder what's in that bag, or he'll have like a briefcase with him or his day timer. And I'm like, oh, where's he going? Where's he going with the day timer? What's going on? How long did Perry date my sister? Not zero amount of time, but he still asks about her, which is always annoying. And not asking in a friendly way either, asking like in a creepy way. Can you imagine if this was 7 days a week? I'm fried from 3 days a week. Can you imagine? Because there's other people, like that Dark Side Phil pretty much does 7 days a week. I mean, I know he's like, he just sits on his couch and plays video games or whatever, but still, maybe he takes one day off, but can you imagine like doing this? I couldn't imagine doing this. I couldn't imagine just doing more. I couldn't imagine doing any more than we're doing right now. Yeah, he's on twice a day, right? Like he'll go on, but he's hustling to get, like, he's begging people for donations and stuff. And have you seen his wife? What's his wife? Because he's married. Like, I'm curious, like, what his wife is like. Like, who marries Darkside Phil? Yeah, and I've never seen him. The only times I've seen clips of Darkside Phil are like the clips people post about him talking about Perry. And I saw one during the stream. Scott sent me something where it was like, but it was just like him reading a comment about it. Oh, Gregory Von Twinkle said Ryan O'Neal as Jack Torrance. That's actually not bad. I could see That's really good, actually. Ryan O'Neal. I could see Ryan O'Neal. I'm just checking an old message. That's pretty good. Tom, how do you explain the Perry phenomenon? Why am I so addicted to know every detail of Perry's personal life? I can't answer that for you. He's fascinating on a lot of different levels, you know, and I think he's become more fascinating over time. Especially in his defiance and his desire not to let not you in particular, but everybody watching, into into corners of his life that he wants, that you just want to know more. I think, you know, but yeah, he is fascinating. So Darkside Phil did it, not to bore people with Darkside Phil stuff, but did he ever say why he lost his Twitch partnership? Did that ever come out? Was it just because he broke like terms of service with the partnership, where he was doing stuff on YouTube when you're supposed to do stuff on Twitch exclusively or something like that? Because if Perry gets that kind of deal, like, I guess we'd have to stop live streaming on YouTube, because they don't like the competition. I was never flattered with Perry's penis pictures. Ugh, so gross. Fuck. I've seen them. God, I'm gonna throw up even talking about this, but like, I've seen it at all different phases too, if you know what I mean. I've seen it at like the evolution of. I don't want to further describe it, but you can use your imagination. If you saw Perry at Costco, you'd be excited. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to organize Perry to be not. How do I say it? Like, I'm trying to tip off cart narcs when Perry goes shopping, to see if they can catch him like one or two locations, like Costco or whatever. Because I guarantee you, he does not put his cart back, and I think that would be a very it'd be very meta on a lot of levels. But also, I just generally like to see his reaction if he's called out on it. You know, call out on like the where's his card. So he fucking went to Costco today, actually, without telling me, and I was really annoyed by that. Yeah, I like cart narcs. They're so funny. I was watching one the other night where, like, I never know where it was, because it's different. Is Sebastian's license plate Scary Perry? That's awesome. But there's more than, like, there's multiple cart narcs, and I forget where I was watching it. It wasn't Sebastian. It was somebody else, and they were like, it got really confrontational, and the guy he was being really. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could. I don't think I'd have what it takes to be a cart narc, but just imagine somebody coming up to. Agent Sebastian's. That's who would be doing it with Perry. I think he lives near Perry, and like just having him catch him in, Costco or Trader. It would be great to get him twice in the same day, like at Costco, and then goes beelines it over to Trader Joe's, because Perry sometimes makes those two of those trips in one day. Has the confrontation at Costco and then has it again in the same day, which I think would be phenomenal. But that's, you know, you got to see what it is. Maybe he puts his cart back and you'd get nothing. You know, that's the thing. Have you practiced cart narking? That takes balls. But yeah, that's the thing with Perry. Sometimes I get upset where he doesn't go for something, and I'll get like cranky. You know, I'm like, oh God, you know, you spend time setting something up and he doesn't bite on it or whatever. It could be a thing on the stream, and you know, so there could be, you know, someone takes time out of their day at cart narc to catch him, and then he's like, and you know, can you imagine he just politely brings his cart all the way back to the cart corral and there's just nothing there. You know, I think that could happen. Put a GPS tracker on Perry's key. Well, his phone does that for him. You can go into Google and track everywhere you've been. We've done that. Perry's like shown me, like, you know, it's just, you know, it's usually like a big rectangle around his apartment, like Canoga Park, Costco, Trader Joe. Yeah, especially the past year, it's not been that exciting. I agree with you. I don't think Perry puts his cart back, but you never know. He could, if you park near the cart corral, then he could put it back. It depends on where he parks. I could imagine. Yeah, he'd have to be the ultimate lazy bones. And then can you imagine too? Because I like when they put the magnet bumper sticker on the car. Could you imagine Perry's reaction if you put that thing on his Corolla? Like he would lose it. He would lose it. Yeah. Who the fuck are you? Get the fuck off. Get that fucking thing off my car right the fuck now. Who the fuck are you? I don't know you. Or he could cower to the authority and say, sorry, sir. Because he does have this weird compliance with authority figures. If somebody comes out with like a badge and says they're a car, like I could also see him doing like, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll put it back. I'm sorry. I'm in a rush. I gotta, you know, my neck is killing me. Please, sir, kindly accept my apology. We can get that too. You know, you never know. It could be anything. Yeah, it's just fuck. You know, I think that's the other thing that keeps people coming back with Perry's. You never know what version of him you're gonna get. Yeah, I think his neck does like hurt, like legitimately with like weather changes, but I think he plays it up too, especially when he wants to get out of something. He'll just be like, you know, it's like ow, 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 ow. You know, that's like he doesn't want to deal with whatever is being presented at the time, and then he'll snap at you. He'll start screaming his head off if you call him on it, and then of course, well, you wouldn't be screaming like that and jerking your head all around if your neck really hurt that bad. You know, but whatever. Not to downplay it. I know his neck. You know, does. He'd have to. The fucking guy broke it like how many times? It would have to hurt on some level. Yeah, I do consider Perry a good friend at this point. How could I not? I mean, he's the person I talk to the most, really. So I do consider him a friend. I know it's like somebody you look after. It's like, you know, everybody has somebody that, you know, you kind of look after, you know, who's like, you know, somebody who's, I don't remember that picnic thing. Or you said he swung at me, maybe. I guess. I only remember the pool, but it's possible. He swung at me numerous times, by the way. Those aren't isolated incidents. He came at me in his apartment once. It was just the two of us, like last year. He came at me pretty aggressively for, like, I just did something, I didn't even realize I did something bad. I like moved something, like one of his skateboards. It was something stupid. I was like coming out of the bathroom, and it was you know, I forget the situation, but I had moved something, And man, he charged at me like a bull. He was like, "Hey motherfucker, hey motherfucker," and he got right in my face. And then I snapped back at him, but he was like, he was ready to like do something then, and I was just like, what did I do? I don't even remember doing anything really bad. I don't deliberately try to set him off when it's just us in the same room. It was really, I can't remember. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember. It was like literally like touching something wrong, or moving something out of the way, and then something else fell as a result. I do up. People say just leave the streams raw. I do upload them raw to Patreon on Patreon credenza. I do. Like I'll, as soon as this is done, I'll upload this. I do, and then the YouTube versions take a little bit longer, because if you notice, if you play back even the Patreon versions, there's a slight audio delay. Like it's like a millisecond. It's like less than a second, but it's a little off, and I always course correct that for YouTube. And I'll just cut down on some other stuff. When you gave yourself a black eye at Perry's stand up, yeah, that was after the pool, right? I remember that. Yeah, and he never hit my face, so the black eye didn't really make any sense. Look, how can you not? I've explained I've explained this before with like, people ask my relationship with Perry. It's like, when something cataclysmic happens to him in real life, like losing his disability, which was a big deal. I mean, what kind of person would I be if I just like, okay, good luck with that, bye, because there was nothing going on at the time. There was no streams. There was no Big Three anything at the time. You lost it. There was nothing going on. There was nothing. It was one of those like dead periods. And I'm like, well, if I'm Perry's protector, and that's when things got real, and like translated from, okay, this is this and that, this is for play and this is for real. Then everything became real. I've said this before. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I let him just hang out to dry, because he has nobody in his life. Everybody in his life was just like these horrible people. Like that Dizak guy was fucking piranha, and that Salvador, like all these people that they've all gone away now, thankfully over the years. But Jesus Christ, I mean, he just got. I'm not gonna give the whole story of him getting scammed or whatever, but fuck, it was brutal. And it was just nobody out. And his family, has helped out a little bit. His cousin Mark helped out a lot, who he knows. But yeah, it's fucking tough. It was, and at the time too, it was like, and I don't want to repeat myself, because if not to pitch Patreon over and over again, but, and by the way, Patreon helps me personally more than Twitch helps Perry, Cameo helps Twitch. Patreon helps me pay some bills, like because there's a lot of like even the video service that Patreon uses, Vimeo. They charge an arm and a leg for bandwidth, so a lot of that goes to that, and other costs and shit. So I've heard somebody mess me like, I don't want to get Patreon because I don't want to help out Perry anymore. Well, it takes a lot of load off of me for Patreon. Me personally, but yeah, the credenza level was something people were asking for. Just they wanted to see the streams, and I put all the after shows on. Like I don't put this on YouTube. Like this doesn't go on YouTube. This is for whoever's watching it live, and then it'll go on Patreon. But and I don't like taking. I don't go about taking people's asking people for money lightly, and I always hate these YouTubers and content creators that are basically begging people for money. I think it's so cringe. So I really try not to do that. But I think you get something for the money. I've said this before. I think Perry's Patreon is up there as far as content creators go that just usually mail in their Patreon and don't give you a lot. I think you get a shit ton, even for like the regular Patreon. You get tons of voicemails, calls, and shit like that. Because I've joined Patreons for other people, and and I forget that I've even signed up. Like once a month, you get an email like, oh, here's, and I always say to myself every month, like, oh shit, I keep forgetting to cancel that. But then it's so minimal that I let it go. But I think I think Perry's Patreon's pretty good, and I work hard at keeping it fresh and putting shit on there that's good. I don't. I wouldn't want to do it if it was like fucking garbage and like, you know, Perry doing his own like Perry doing a food review every day would not be boring. But whatever, it's fine. And there's plenty of shit for free too. There's plenty of shit. YouTube's free. This is free. You want to participate on a deeper level, you can, and I appreciate that greatly. But let me tell you something about William Randolph Hearst and money. William Randolph Hearst might be the cheapest human being you will ever come across in your life. So that is not an avenue for funding by any means. Boy, can you imagine if Perry has a new? Perry actually applied to be an Uber driver back, I think like 2 years ago, around the time where he had that job for delivering pizza for what was it? I forget the name of the pizza place. The Two Girls Pizza or something. When it was getting, again, it was one of those times where it was scary. Like, hey, this disability isn't coming back. You better look for. He actually applied at Costco. He applied himself to a lot of places, to give him credit. He applied at Costco, but yeah, his car, Dough Girls Pizza, that was it. Yeah, his car is like, he was applying to Uber and Lyft with like a dirty 2002 Corolla. So it just didn't make the cut. He needed a newer car. Yeah, and I don't think he'd last long either. He wouldn't last long as an Uber driver. Plus, he drives crazy. Yeah, and if you don't know the pizza story, when he was a pizza delivery person, I think the person actually left a review on Yelp of the Dough Girls Pizza. I don't know if it's still up or whatever, but yeah. So basically, I think he lasted less than a week. I could be wrong on that. He had a job for this pizza place, Dough Girls Pizza, delivering pizzas, and he used to be a delivery guy when he worked at the print place that his cousin owned. Anyway, so one of the things is he went to somebody's home to deliver a pizza. Like, here's your pizza. Can I kindly use your toilet? I gotta take a dump real bad. And the guy let him in. And of course, I don't know if he said that he was gonna go number 2, but he went in there and apparently was in there for a good long while and stunk it up to these people that just wanted a pizza delivered. And he got fired for that. I don't know if it was official firing, but he basically said that the people that, like, when they got the complaint, because the customer complained to the company and then left that review, and they basically said that it's probably not going to work out. I don't think he ever got paid either. He never went back for his pay. So I think he worked like the time that he worked for, like, whatever it was, 5 days, however long it was. I don't think he ever got paid. So he just left money on the table. God, can you imagine? But that's the thing, I've said this before, that what makes Perry so special is he's bereft of shame. He doesn't have that shame thing that we all have in our brains. That would be a shameful thing to do. We would never do that, or like say something like that to a complete stranger. Perry doesn't have that switch for whatever reason. So which is one of the things that makes him so unique, is that he doesn't have that. He doesn't care. I mean, there's a level where he does care, but on most the normal line of caring, where we would care about, like, asking to use a restroom, and we've all been there, where, like, you got to go into, like, you're on a road trip or whatever reason, you got to, like, hey, can I use your men's room, or do you know where the men's room is? Oh, it's over there. Like, I've heard him, both in person and just being on the phone, like, he'll go to the person at IHOP or whoever, wherever it is, like, can I use your bathroom? Yeah, I gotta take a shit real bad. Like, he adds this extra information um, that nobody asks for. And he doesn't care what the other person thinks. It doesn't even come into play. And no, I don't think somebody said asked if it's autism. I don't think it's autism. That's not autism. It's something else. He's not autistic on any level. But yeah, I've been on many hot mics with him. Let me tell you, like just being on the phone, like just like whatever we're talking about, whatever, and he has to hear his interactions with other people is always fascinating, especially at his post office, or like talking to a woman, whether it's a cashier or somebody helping him, like somebody at a bank or something, and he'll always say like, again, his sensibilities are from like the 70s or something where like creepy old men would talk to women that way and it was tolerated, but the way he talks to women, it's a very, and you get a hint of it on the streams, but like yeah, he'll say something like, "Hey, honey, can you put a stamp on this?" Like at the post office, and you could tell just by being on the other end. Like I could tell, like this woman wants nothing to do with him, but he's again bereft of shame, oblivious to social cues, so he's not picking up on anything this woman is feeding back to him. He's just like, whatever. Again, which is fascinating, but like he's laughing and giving like the fake like come on, I'm kidding with you, I love you, give me your phone number. No, I'm just kidding. We'll go out to dinner sometime. Oh, come on, we're just kidding. You love me. All right, bye. All right, one more thing, and he'll go, and it's so cringe to the point where I'm like turning into myself. I have to put the phone, like I can't listen to this anymore. It's so, boy, it's a cringeous Maximus listening to these interactions. And then I've seen it in person too. Like it's just he doesn't switch it off. Which, again, but that's part of the confidence that gets you up on stage, right? Like if you're to do stand up, that's why there's so many terrible stand ups out there. Is that these people just think that they can go on stage. They think that they belong on stage, and you should be listening to them, and you should be paying $12 for a Bud Light to be listening to their horrible jokes. And Perry, to give him credit, he did it. Like it takes balls to get up on a stage to do a spot wherever it is. It's fucking half. That's they say like half of it is getting the balls to fucking do it. And he did it. Whether regardless of what you think of the material, it's like he did it, and he has a very good stage presence as well. He acts like he belongs there, and that's the thing. And I've done stand up, but I didn't never made a big thing about it. But you basically, I think the best advice I ever had was, just walk out there like it's your millionth time, your 5,048th time going out there, and just do it. Liz says she dated a stand-up comic. Would it be anybody we know, Liz? And was a narcissist? Yeah, they're all narcissists. They're all. That's why most stand-up comics are horrible people. They're terrible people. There's very few sweet ones, like where they're that's a good person. They're all like in love with themselves, and all they want is the attention. They act like they want to give us laughs. Like they want to get up on stage and just give us laughs. They don't want that. They want the laughs for themselves. They're like succubists. They're like they want the attention. It's the attention is what they want. They want the applause and the attention, and without that, they're they're like the monster from It. When you figure out how to defeat them, it's like that craves on fear. It's like they just crave on fake laughs. And that's why I think most of them have been through the ringer this past year, because they haven't had that attention. They haven't been on, comedy's been canceled for the past year. So they're desperate to get out there, to get people to give them any kind of attention. And I try. I'm going to sign off too in a couple of minutes. But yeah, and obviously I'm generalizing. There's exceptions, of course, There's exceptions to everything. Every hard opinion I have has exceptions. I'm just talking about the non-exceptions. When I say this is shit or whatever, obviously there's an arrogance in saying that, but there's not. You could always pick out, except with Chicago pizza. I have not had a good Chicago pizza. I am wearing a plain blue t-shirt and jeans and slippers with no socks. Yeah, I don't know what the deal with Whitney Cummings is. Like, uh, does she date? Like, she just doesn't seem like a human being. She seems like I don't know. Like, I don't want to say robot, but like she just seems like soulless and like I, I can't. God, I can't even put my finger on it. I can't put any finger on it. I don't know what to think about her. Like, I'm not a fan by any means, but Jesus Christ, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like I've seen, like even like her, I've seen clips of her podcast and just the way she talk, like that. She has this vocal affectation that's really irritating. Yeah, she is a sad old woman. How old is she too? And and that plastic surgery she got, and the fact that she doesn't come clean and say that she. I mean, how can you not look at her and realize that she's gotten like massive amounts of plastic surgery? And for a young, it's always weird when a young person gets plastic surgery, and it's so obvious. Did Red Bar cover Whitney's fake marriage scam? I must have forgotten about it or not heard it. Yeah, she had some kind of thing, but then isn't she like somebody said to me, was it Perry? Not Perry, it was somebody else. Like said, oh, like her maybe it was Joey the chat, one of the moderators. So like, like her publicist she's dating her publicist or something like that. But there's no way she's actually dating anybody. She's too much of a narcissist. I can't imagine, because to date somebody means you have to share your life with somebody, and you have to like give part of yourself over to a relationship or something. I can't imagine half these people doing that. That's why they're always doing these fake stand-up routines about how the single life, and they're like deep into their 50s, and they're talking about their new girlfriend or somebody they just broke up with, which is one of the only truths they'll ever tell, is that they're too selfish to be with another human being. You have to, if you're in a relationship of any kind, whether you're married or whatever, there's a giving nature to that. You have to, it's not all just about you. It's about this other person. I'm not to tell people how to have relationships, but half these comedians, they can't fucking do that. I sound like William Randy Hearst about women. I'm not being anti-woman. I love women. I respect women. It's just certain, like the Whitneys of the world drive me crazy. I think they make other women look bad, but I don't generalize. Well, I do generalize, but I'm not generalizing on this particular thing. I just think, yeah, I don't know, and I mean that gets into the whole area of the women who are funny, women that make you laugh, and there's plenty of. But like, there's plenty of women that make me laugh, like in my personal life, like, or women I just know. Like, I'll tell you who's really funny, legitimately funny, is Susie Hilf, who I've been good friends with for years, just out of this, and just even her posts or something like that. Like, I think she's legitimately funny, and but like Amy Schumer, are you kidding me? No. It's such a great Norm quote. Who's funnier than Sarah Silverman? Well, nobody, except for dudes. Yeah, that's such a great line. But yeah, there's just like phase now of like these, allegedly attractive, like youngish females that are funny. Like, who's the other one? Eliza Schlesinger. I don't even know her. I couldn't pick her out of a lineup, but some people say that she's funny. I don't know. I think they're funny. Liz, for somebody who came on the scene relatively like late, like, or not late, but like new. I think your call with Perry was great. I think which is not easy to do. People drop that ball real quick. Some of them are better than others, but you were great with him. So yeah, you're look, anybody that's into Perry, that's a female, gets an automatic pass from me because like you know, you're onto something that most people aren't. And I don't know. Yeah, see, I don't know Nikki Glazer either. Like I like her. Like I've seen like pictures of her. Jane Lynch is funny, really. Jane Lynch, I don't get Jane Lynch. Like she does any. Like Jane Lynch is overexposed to the point where she deflates any funny that I thought she had. Like I like her in Best in Show, but goddamn, she like doesn't turn down anything. That's another thing too. Like where people just like they don't turn down anything. I'll have to disagree with you on Kristen Wiig. I don't get the whole Kristen Wiig thing. I don't know who Laura Cuss is. I've never heard of that name, but I'll take your word on it. Like, and again, it's like me complaining about music or something like that. There's so much music out there that I don't know. So yeah, Maria Bamford, like you're naming names I don't know. No idea. I just know the mainstream fools. I don't know the ins and outs. There's probably plenty. All right, so if I YouTube Laura Lumpkiss and she makes me laugh, I'll give you credit for that. Do I get along with Dan Barney? I've never met Dan Barney. I love Kate McKinnon. Who's Kate McKinnon? I want to say that's a name I know. Is she a Saturday Night Live or something? I don't know. Yeah, I don't watch Saturday Night Live. I checked out of Saturday Night Live a long time ago. I don't watch it at all, so I don't know anybody on Saturday Night Live. I stopped watching Saturday Night Live when they fired Norm, and that was like 1998. And I never saw the 2016 Ghostbusters ever. I never will. Not that I hold Ghostbusters in high regard. I would never watch it. But yeah, I just, even the Will Ferrell era of Saturday Night Live is like the newish Saturday Night Live to me. Like I don't know it. I know it from like clips that you see on like YouTube and shit. But I just stopped watching. And I know it's like an old man thing to say. It's like, oh, Saturday Night Live was better when I was growing up or whatever. And I just think it is. I think the greatest stuff on Saturday Night Live is in the past. But again, I have not seen it, so it's an ignorant thing to say because there's probably some skits that are probably good. I just have not seen it, and I'm not interested in seeing it. Yeah, it's just not. No, I'm gonna go as far as like the era, not the Belushi era. I mean, because I didn't grow up with. I mean, I was, you know, like barely born when Saturday Night Live started, but I've gone back and watched the Belushi era and find it funny. But yeah, my era would be the late '80s, early '90s. Like Phil Hartman, Dana Carvey, John Lovitz, Jan Hooks, Victoria Jackson, and then with when you get into the '90s, also like the younger cast of like the Chris Farley, Adam Sandler, David Spade, and that weird mix of the old and the new, like two thing. And Steve Martin was always great on Saturday Night Live, no matter what era he popped in on. He was never a regular. I mean, he wasn't like a cast member, but he was, yeah, fuck. So I can't say anything. My only foggy era of Saturday Night Live is like that early '80s era where after the 5 years of like Belushi and all that, Lorne Michaels left, and that woman Jean Dominion I think took over, and that's when you had like Gilbert Gottfried, Joe Piscopo, and like a couple of other people. I mean, I can't even list them all. Like Charles Rocket, and then pre Eddie Murphy, and that era I don't know at all. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen anything from it except like little clips here and there. And then mid '80s was a weird thing too, where they had like Robert Downey Jr. As a cast member and Jim Belushi. I don't know much about that era either, but they were doing a lot of short films uh, in that era that I've seen, and that they're all really good. I'd like to go back and watch those, but who the fuck has the time? Belushi wasn't funny there. I said it. Wow, those are big words. I don't worship at the temple of Belushi like other people do. I've never seen Animal House. Never seen it. Not because I'm anti Animal House or anti Belushi. It just hasn't just never came up. But I have seen SNL skits from the '70s, and Belushi has been fantastic. Uh, yeah, it's funny. Like I don't. Yeah, well, there's a story behind it. Like it's so stupid. When I articulate it, it makes me sound like a moron. But there was this guy that I went to high school with that like worshipped Belushi, or like he kind of looked like Belushi in a way. Not that he like facially, but he was like slovenly, looked kind of like, I mean, looked kind of like he was coming off a bender or something like that. But as much as you can when you're like, I don't know, 13 or 14. And he would quote Animal House left and right, this kid. And he was just like, he was an asshole. He was like a bully, asshole. And he would always be talking about Animal House, this scene in Animal House where he'd quote it. Like he knew it verbatim. And he would do it in like class. And so for whatever reason, I've always associated Animal House with that asshole. And I can never break that association. So that's why I've never seen it, which is such a stupid thing. I'll probably have to see it at some point. Belushi is your actual last name. That's cool. But yeah, and then is there any other films that he did? And I never saw 1942, the Spielberg movie, but which I know is a big disaster. But I've always been curious to see it. I've never seen it. Has anybody seen 1942 and actually like it? I know it has its fan base. Excuse the dog. 41. Sorry, 1941. Yeah, that's how out of it I am with that movie. I don't even know the right year. It's 1941. Yeah, right. Yeah, there's plenty of people we knew in school that just were into something, whether it's a band or an artist or a movie or a game that they were like into, and you didn't like that person, therefore you don't like whatever they like. No, I've never seen the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Never heard of it. Yeah, most of SNL is trash. I agree, but like, what are the good SNL movies aside from like Wayne's World, which I know everybody says is probably the best, but like where, like there hasn't been any recent, like when's the last one that came out? Like, because there was a while they were turning those out, pretty pretty heavy. Get Perry on SNL. You imagine? Okay. It's funny. I saw Night at the Roxbury about like fuck like 6 months before it came out. For whatever reason, it was in New York City, and I went to the movies with my girlfriend at the time, and we went to see a movie called Dark City. If anybody's ever seen that, the one, it's like this sci-fi movie, very very good, a very like pre-Matrixy movie with Kiefer Sutherland was the only name I could think of that was in it. Anyway, we leave and they're giving out free passes to like, oh, come see some special screening of this movie. And at the time, you're like young, and we're like, oh, that's cool, free movie. You got to come back like this specific night. It was like a Tuesday night at the same location, but it's a special screening. They don't even tell you what it is. It's a special screening of a movie coming soon. And I've never seen, like, at that time, I had never seen a movie. Like, it was always cool to be able to see a movie, like, before it came out, like a screening. This wasn't even that. This was a test screening. I'm sure the version of it I saw was not the final version. I've never seen the final version. Anyway, it was Night at the Roxbury. So we sit there, and they give you these cards to fill out. It's like, like you hear about test screenings, like where it's like they have an audience, like fill out cards, and because you always see like the behind the scenes of a movie, like, oh well, the test audiences hated it, so we had to reshoot the ending or something. So I've only seen this version of the movie. I've only seen the test screen version of the movie. Whenever that was, it was like winter 1998, and then the movie didn't come out until like I think late fall 98, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, I saw it crazy early, and I fucking hated it to the point I wanted to leave. And then I remember filling out this card. They give you this index card. Like, what did you like about the movie? What would you critique? Like, I was filling this out like I was writing a fucking novel on this card. And then I was like, me and the guy sitting to my left was like, we were both complaining about it. And we started talking. We started verbalizing like what we didn't like about it. And I said, I was complaining about, I go, when is Lorne Michaels going to realize that these stupid 5-minute sketches don't work in a 90-minute movie? And this is the worst of them all. This is the worst one. As Chris Kattangai is horrible. I go, fucking Lorne Michaels just lost all of his mojo. I was going off on Lorne Michaels. Anyway, so comes time to turn your cards in, and you're allowed to leave. You're not allowed to leave. The movie's over, by the way. There's no credits. The movie just ends, and then the lights come up, and you have to fill out these cards. They don't let you leave, like you're like a prisoner, until they get these fucking cards. And anyway, so they're collecting the cards, and the guy stands up in front of me and gives me the dirtiest FU look any human being has ever given me, and it was Lorne Michaels. He was sitting right in front of me. He heard every fucking thing I said to both, my girlfriend at the time and this guy next to me. And man, he wanted to just, who is this punk redheaded kid spouting off about comedy like he knows what the fuck's going on? And he just, and he just got his like $1 million coat on. He was buttoning it up. He was like flashing his Rolex. He was basically in like the 2 seconds he glanced at me, he basically conveyed everything of like, I am everything and you are nothing. And how dare a peasant like you dare criticize me. But then again, that fucking movie didn't come out for 6 months, and I'd like to think I have something to do with that. I would like to think that my card had something to do with their long delay of getting released. So at this point, I probably don't remember the test screening, but I've always been curious to see the theatrical version, to see what what that turned out to be. Because man, I wrote so many things. I go, this scene didn't work. Like I almost needed a new card to write more. Like I was going on and on about it. Like what didn't work for me. I don't think Dirty Work doesn't count as an SNL movie. It's just like Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore doesn't count either. It's just somebody from SNL doing a movie. It's not an SNL. An SNL movie has to be based on an SNL character. Like Wayne's World. It's Pat. How many of them are there? What was the one with? I can't think of the name of it. Fuck, I can't even think of the guy's name either. What was the one with Tim Meadows where he played that radio DJ who was like the love guy? I always liked the skit. I've never seen the movie. I don't know how the movie is. I always liked the skit. Coneheads. Coneheads is actually good. Surprisingly good. The Ladies' Man. Yeah, I've never seen The Ladies' Man. I've always wanted to. I remember when it came out, I wanted to see it. It was out for like a week. But I wanted to see it because I always liked The Ladies' Man because I forget the thing of it was like somebody would come up with advice and it would be something gay, and it would be very Perry-like, and the Ladies' Man would just be like, that's disgusting. Like he'd be just like revolted by anything out of his wheelhouse. I always found that funny. I do like Deuce Bigalow, male gigolo, unapologetically. To me, it's a I'll still watch it. It really makes me laugh. And I'm like an asshole like when it comes to comedy. Like I really like I'm a hard laugh. I'm not an easy laugh, and I laughed my fucking ass off when I saw it. I saw it in the theater, Deuce Bigelow. I saw the sequel, not so much, even though I do have a soft spot for bad comedy sequels. Yeah, UHF is fantastic. I saw UHF in the theater too, even though I remember. I think UHF sat on the shelf for a long time. Like I think it was made in like '87, but didn't come out until like '89 or something like that. I can turn Perry's camera on, but it'll just be pitch dark because I guarantee. I never saw Joe Dirt, so I can't say. But I like David Spade. But yeah, there's other ones I'm not thinking of, like Saturday Night Movie, like Dana Carvey. I'll tell you what, Dana Carvey tried to get a movie career going at various times and just never can kick it off. But I really like the movie he did. I think it's like 1990 when he was on SNL. He did a movie called Opportunity Knocks, where he played like a con man. It's not an original story by any means, but it's like mistaken identity. Like he assumes the identity of somebody because he's running away from like bookies or something. I forget the ins and outs of it, but I actually really like that movie a lot. I remember renting it, and then anytime it's on cable, I'll watch it. And then it's funny. There's a movie that Sinbad did in '95 called House Guest, and it is almost a shot-for-shot remake on the border of plagiarism. Just how the Fast and the Furious is plagiaristic of Point Break, which I think is just carbon copy, just changing like surfers to cars. House Guest with Phil Hartman and Sinbad is a remake of Opportunity Knocks with Dana Carvey. It's the same fucking movie. It's the same movie. The guy, it's this con guy that's on the run or whatever, and happens to fall into this scenario where these people are expecting somebody, but they haven't seen them in a long time, or they're a friend of a friend, and he's mistaken, and he dons this identity. And yeah, you're right, Hero. House Guest is obnoxiously bad. There's one movie that's worse with product placement at McDonald's. I can't think of the name of the movie, but I remember seeing it, and it was you'll have to IMDb it. I know who's in it. I know Paul Reiser's in it and a bunch of other people, and it was about like it was like an adult comedy drama about like single parents swapping their kids, and they'd always swap their kids at the McDonald's, and then they'd go inside and eat McDonald's and have all these like life-changing conversations. And then there was a whole storyline in the movie about a guy that got a job at McDonald's and all that. And I was like, fucking McDonald's sponsored this movie. Worse than House Guest. And House Guest is pretty egregious with the McDonald's placement. Point Break is a ripoff of Cheers where they're pranking Gary's Old Time Tavern. Yeah, I guess yeah. But anyway, I remember seeing Fast and the Furious, and I was like, yeah, I've seen this movie before. It was called fucking Point Break. Except Fast and the Furious found a way to turn out like 12 sequels where Point Break never did. I like Falling Down, but I don't remember all the beats of it because I haven't seen it since it came out. I've never I saw it once in the theater when it came out. But I know it's one of those movies where it's never on. Well, you know, and now I don't have cable, so there used to come a time where I'd catch this movie and it's on, I'll just watch it. I don't have cable anymore, so. No, I never saw Clifford. That's the one with Martin Short. I hear that has a big cult following, but I've never seen it. Oh, I didn't know that. How has Falling Down changed? Because that's another movie I've tried to recast in my head with somebody else. Even though I think Michael Douglas is fantastic in it. I try to think of Somebody else. I've never seen Payback either. And I usually love those movies. Bye Bye Love. That's the fucking movie. Bye Bye Love. I saw that on a date. Fuck, man, that movie was fucking horrible. Oh, I could see that. So they added the not the crazy. Yeah, that's the one scene that sticks out to me. That's funny. That's funny. I could totally see that now that you mention it. And that's the other thing too about like no, I never got into Jiminy Glick. I never got into the character. I like Martin Short, so I'm not gonna say that. I just never got into it. But like getting back to House Guest, I was thinking like it's a Phil Hartman movie, and it's a shame that Falling Down with Jerry Lewis. I would watch that in a heartbeat. They never figured out how to do Phil Hartman in movies. Like once he left Saturday Night Live, like I think the closest he came to like doing a good job in a movie, like well cast, like to his talents, was the movie Greed with Michael J. Fox and Kirk Douglas, and had like a bit of an ensemble. But he Phil Hartman's really good in that. But yeah, House Guest, he's just playing a straight guy, like he's playing like a regular like suburban dad and they're not using his talents at all. I mean, and he's in a couple of movies like that where he's just this guy, and it's like that's fucking Phil Hartman. It's like he can do anything, and he's not being used the right way. I never saw Jingle All the Way, but I don't doubt that he's great in that. I should see it. I'm clearly a Sinbad fan because I love I love House Guest. So, even though even though I acknowledge it's a ripoff of Opportunity Knocks, I still like it. Although I remember seeing the movie, and the daughter, Phil Hartman's daughter in House Guest, is like this goth chick, and she's into like all her posters. She's into like the Smiths and like I forget everything else, but I would always pay attention to that in movies where like whatever the girl has posters of in their room, I was like, ooh, that's a girl that I would like, like she's got all these like cool posters up, and then she dates this like white rapper guy in the movie, and it's the guy that like Sinbad has to school and like teach him how to treat women right or whatever, and he like it gives him a talking to, and I'm like, there's no way that girl would be dating that guy. There's just no fucking way. And it completely threw the movie off for me. Yeah, can you imagine Phil Hartman hosting Jeopardy? Jesus Christ. God. Yeah, I think we talked about, I don't know, one of these things where, like, what famous person really gutted you when you found out they died? I think most answers was Phil Hartman. The quintessential 80s movie, that's a good question. I'd have to think about that. I mean, there's a couple in the running. Probably Back to the Future, even though, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. There's a lot of different answers. Some people will say Ghostbusters. I don't subscribe to that. Yeah, Sinbad just disappeared. I think Sinbad, people got bored of him. I mean, there's another movie that he's in. He's not the star of it, but I really like it. I actually knew the director because a friend of mine that I went to school with, his uncle was the director of this movie. His uncle directed Mr. Mom, and the movie is Unnecessary Roughness. It's a college, and I don't even like football, but it's a college football movie starring Scott Bakula. At a time, he was like big on Quantum Leap, and he did. It's Necessary Roughness. That's what it was called, not Unnecessary Roughness. And Scott Bakula like basically is this like phenom football guy that like never went to college and worked on his father's farm, and then gets recruited to go back to school to be on this team. And Sinbad plays like a side character in the movie, but it's really good. It's a good sports movie. It's a good comedy. It's well cast. It's fucking great. It used to be on HBO all the time, and I used to watch it at any point. It was one of those movies I'd watch at any point it was on. I've never seen Blackula, but I hear it's good. Yeah, no, Scott Bakula was like the leading man of the movie, which is weird. I actually went out to dinner with a friend of mine. I took him out for his birthday, and the conversation veered towards Coming to America 2, and I said I refused to see it, and he said, no, you should see it. It's really good. I enjoyed it. It's the only person I've heard of that likes Coming to America 2. Everybody else is slated, and I can't bring myself to watch it, but he said, no, please watch it. I want to know your opinion. It was really good. It wasn't the greatest thing, but it was, yeah, and everybody here says how bad it was. So I have no desire to see it. I like Dolan. I've never seen I've seen Dolan. I've seen a lot of those blaxploitation movies. Yeah, Kathy Allen was the kicker in Necessary Roughness. That's right. Yeah, Better Off Dead, underrated, and there's a lot of weird behind the scenes with Better Off Dead. Apparently, like John Cusack hated the director aggressively, and there's always like weird behind the scenes stories of that movie and how difficult he was. I remember reading about it a long time ago. The guy, I remember where I read about it. It was the guy, Curtis Armstrong, who was Booger in the Revenge of the Nerds movie. He came out with a book, and I remember getting the book because I was just interested in hearing about Revenge of the Nerds. Speaking of not seeing Animal House, like my Animal House is probably Revenge of the Nerds, and which people say is like borrows heavily from Animal House, but I wouldn't know any better because I never saw Animal House. Anyway, but I ended up reading the whole book because it was interesting because he talks about like a lot of movies he was in, and he talks about Better Off Dead quite a bit and how weird it was, like the set and everything. If you're at all interested in Better Off Dead, you could just read that section of his book. I forget the name of the book. It was something. It was some play on Revenge of the Nerd. It was like maybe Revenge of the Nerd or something like that. And the rest of you'd have to be interested in the rest of his career to read other stuff. But he goes from like movie to movie because he worked with Tom Cruise early on in Risky Business. He has some good stuff to say about that, and then like working on Moonlighting, and of course Revenge of the Nerds movies, which is the meat and potatoes of the book. But I don't know. I have a thing for weird like B-level people's biographies. And I'll occasionally, when I had more free time, I would read those. And I remember one day I had to go to the DMV, and I was there for hours, and I pretty much almost read the entire book, sitting there. But anyway, so just to the person who about Better Off Dead, it was very, very revealing about like stuff behind. I always like wonder, like there's so many things like that where like actors in a movie or a TV show like they couldn't stand each other. Like when I was a kid, I used to watch the A-Team, and I would never know that like George Papard and Mr. T hated. Mr. T, I don't think gave a fuck, but George Papard hated Mr. T. Wouldn't talk to him off set. And there's so many stories like that of like famous TV shows where like the lead doesn't talk to another person, but you wouldn't know on camera. Like you would never know, but like behind the scenes, like they just completely blanked each other. Do you love John Cusack now, though, or do you love 80s, 90s John Cusack? Because John Cusack now is a little tough to take. Like Aunt B on the Andy Griffith Show barely spoke to Andy Griffith, and they had almost every scene together. Like, it's crazy. Like I like John Cusack in the '80s, and even up until, yeah, Hot Tub Time Machine is pretty good. 1408's a good movie. I forgot about that, but not the director's cut. The theatrical version of 1408 is good. I don't like what they did with the ending in the director's cut. One of the rare occasions. No, I don't have to work tomorrow. I don't know. I do at some point, but I don't have to get up early. Well, that's not true. I do have to get up early, but I can. Fuck, I didn't realize what time it was. It's like 3:00. Shit. Time flies when you're talking about nonsense. Eventually, I want to get I keep saying this, but I want to get calls on this after whatever the fuck we call this, because it's just me talking. I'd rather talk to you guys, or not all at once, but like one at a time. Say Anything is a great movie, and I used to have a total thing for Ione Skye. That's another one like who disappeared. She was big for a short while and then disappeared. That's a great movie. Tom Talk Tonight. Nah. I'm trying to think. How do we do the calls thing? I'd have to put it up to the speaker or something. But yeah, shoot me a DM and give me your number. I'll call you. And then we gotta wrap up. After I drop my phone. Zoom call. Yeah, I could do Skype because that's how I link in Perry. If you want to do Skype. Yeah, I know. I got to work out the Discord thing. I know that's a lot of other people do. I just got to figure out the ins and outs of it. Because I never plan on these things, It's just like we just end up hanging out. Yeah, I could do the Discord chat and link it in here. I know that. I gotta physically do it. I gotta add it to Streamlabs and everything. Yeah, I don't have Zoom hooked up to this though. It's got to be hooked up to this. Like I can do Skype, especially if I get a number on Skype. But I'm gonna try to figure it out for next time. I never know what next time is. Like I never know like when this is gonna happen or not. It's usually organic and kind of casual. Any steakhouse I want to provide, I answer all your Perry questions. Oh, thanks, Dustin. Dustin set the fire. Yeah, if you want to message me on if we're like Facebook friends, you want to send me your number on that. I'll give you a quick buzz. Watch, I'll get one guy that's just like a psycho. What I like about this though is like people talk. It's like what weirds me out, especially on like Facebook, is like that there's that Perry Caravello Live Facebook group, and a lot of people. There's so many people that go in there, especially people that like jumped over from like Big Three Fan Club or whatever, and most of them don't say anything. Like there's only like a small percentage of people that are vocal. It seems like on these, almost 100% people are vocal. Like they say something. I don't know how many people are just like laying back, listening to this nonsense and not participating. But it seems like there's a big participation factor here, which I like. You wonder if your T-shirt purchase comment came up? I can't remember that. I'm sure it did. We got to every comment tonight. I never knew about Discord until like recently. So, but I do know that they have a very good like audio system, like that we can probably link into this, and therefore we could probably talk over that, so it's not just me. Oh yeah. By the way, Liz sent me her number, but I already had it because she's called Perry, so I probably could have used that through that. But I'll call Liz and then we'll say goodnight. It's gonna be speakerphone, unfortunately, because it's not. Long story. That's answered somewhere else.
Hello?
Thank you for calling Perry Caravello Live. Thank you for subscribing. Who am I speaking to?
It's Liz. How are you?
So, Liz, are these I don't normally think that these are these are hours for you. Like, why are you up at 3:18 on a
It's
Wednesday night?
Cinco de Mayo, and I've
Oh,
been
is that what it is?
yeah, I've been drinking quite a lot. So
Since the stream started?
who's this?
Oh, this is Tom, by the way, TomB.
Oh, you are Tom. How are you doing me and the stream at the same time?
I'm well. If you want me to give the magic away, I'm holding the phone up to the microphone until I figure out how to do calls better.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so that's really how Perry does it until I find out. I had a different system for Perry originally with the phones, where I had it built into the software, but then I figured once people got that number, because you'd have to give out the number, people would be calling it at all times during this, and it would just constantly interrupt the stream.
Of course they would.
Yeah, and it's the same reason I didn't use WhatsApp. So that's why it takes an internal amount of time. I know how horrible it is to watch Perry dial numbers on those subscriber Sundays. But
It's so funny though. I appreciate your effort. I think you actually work a lot harder than him.
oh, for fucking sure I do. I mean, there's no. Well, he wouldn't be able to run the software. He wouldn't be able to run the tip comments. Get the rhythm. I mean, he would just. I don't know.
He wouldn't float. Just like you said, I think you made a comment a couple of times, like, "Oh, I left for a couple of minutes," and he's like,
he sits at the screen.
"Yeah, that is really funny."
But he's good sometimes. Like he's engaging. Like when he does his own like once in a while. And there's stuff he sent me recently that I just haven't looked through yet because I've just been busy or whatever. But like. He went to work out at his gym when it opened up, and he did a whole fucking video shoot. And he's talking to the camera, kind of. And he can be engaging when he wants to be, but he just doesn't know how to make... He doesn't know how to make small talk with a couple of hundred people, you know.
Yeah, it's amazing how he got started out. I think that whole thing is really funny. He went on Windy City Heat, and he's like, "I'm Perry Caravello," and then he did the stream, and that's how we got big.
Yeah, it's weird because the stream is like a runaway train, and it's always weird to see the new people come. So I've been meaning to ask you. So how did you find Perry? How did you find the stream?
I swear, I just joined Twitch a couple of months ago, and because I'm like, I'm in New York City. They all shut down, right?
Right.
And I can't go anywhere, right? And I'm craving like human attention. So I joined Twitch, and Perry is starting to talk shit, and I'm like, who is this guy?
But how did you? So you joined Twitch, and but like, are you like channel surfing, and he just pops up?
He just popped up. I swear to God, I didn't search anything. I didn't put in any kind of name.
Was he the first person you watched?
No, not the first person.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
But I'm like, okay. I think it was a Time Travel Tuesday. I'm like, time travel? Oh,
Okay.
Who is this guy? Let me see
Right.
what he's all about.
Right.
And I'm thinking he's a scientist.
He's gonna talk to you about the quantum physics of is time travel real? Is it possible?
Yeah. So, and I tune in, and everyone's like fucking with him on the.
Yeah. How long did it take you to realize that he wasn't a scientist?
The comments. I'm like, what the fuck are all these people abusing him for?
Right.
And then people started commenting like, where? Do you know who he is, Liz? I'm like, no. And they're like, did you ever see Windy City Heat? I'm like, no. And then I watched Windy City Heat, and it was the funniest thing ever.
That's great.
Were you there for Windy City Heat?
No. That was well before my time with Perry.
But,
I knew Perry shortly after Windy City Heat, but we didn't like work together. I mean, if you want to call it that, till much later.
But JQA is part of the whole joke. So how did he rape you and stuff?
Well, again, Liz, you got a lot of catching up to do. That came much later. Yeah, there's a long, Windy City Heat's 2000. They filmed it in for 2 weeks in December of 2002. Movie came out in October
I know.
2003.
It was way before my time.
And then there's a long gap of nothing, and then they did the podcast, and then and then there's a lot of elements that happened to lead Perry to be on Twitch, which would take me a long time to get into. But the beats of it. It's like, it was just something we tried, because Perry was on OnlyFans, if you can believe that, kind of as like a joke.
Yeah.
And
when did you officially become his manager?
Well, probably. There's two phases of it. Like, probably for practical reasons, in 2013 officially, but then really when he lost his disability, like, things became real, like real.
Real fake disability, or real disability?
Well, his real whatever his disability was, it was no longer there. My role in his life, rather than be a let's say character or whatever, became real, and everything that even now, it's funny, like somebody said it. I forget who said it. I think it was Scott, who does the Perry Caravello live account. Because Perry couldn't think of the name of our company. He was like, he's like Brennan Publications or whatever. It's Brennan Entertainment, which was always like a funny, name or whatever. But now it's real. It's like a real, now it's like a real LLC.
I can't imagine what the conversation would be like with him for like 5 minutes.
But you do know, you've called him twice now, so you do know what it's like.
That's a call. You've known him for years.
Yeah, well, it's the same. A lot of it is like Groundhog Day, and then a lot of it is new territory. Like, and
I
there's
love
always
that movie, by the way.
Is it Bill Murray's best?
Oh, I might think Ghostbusters a little bit.
Really?
A little bit.
What is this thing with Ghost? I don't get Can somebody explain Ghostbusters to me? I understand that it's a big movie and it's a big deal and a lot of people love it. I do not get the overt worshiping of Ghostbusters.
I just love New York so much,
And it's a great New York movie, but there are better New York movies.
And Giannis is fucking funny, and it's fucking awesome.
Wait, Giannis is Ghostbusters too.
Giannis is Ghostbusters too.
We got to separate the two. You can't bleed into one.
Well, I'm talking about 2 movies I've seen that the sequels are actually better than the first.
Do you think Ghostbusters 2 is better than?
Yes.
Really?
And I also think Terminator 2 is better than the first one. That's the only 2 movies I've ever seen. That's
not a hot take. That's most people will say that. I was 10 years old when Ghostbusters came out. I was the perfect age. Somebody said I was too old. I was 10 years old. I saw it in the theater. I remember the summer it came out. It was huge. Most people, I think, that love.
Something?
84.
81, so what is that? Okay.
84.
So I was 3 years old.
84. I remember seeing it. I saw it. I think I saw it more than once. But anyway, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I like it. I get it.
I like both of them.
But I just
think
I don't understand how it's
only 2 movies I've ever seen in my life that I think the sequel is better than the first one, and I think it's Ghostbusters, and I think it's Terminator 2.
Terminator 2 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Aliens is also, I think, better than Alien. But
really,
it's yeah, you're right. It's rare. There's other examples. There's probably other examples of that. Does anybody else agree with her that now, just for Ghostbusters people, Ghostbusters 2 better than Ghostbusters 1? Because here's the thing about Ghostbusters 2 is the best part about Ghostbusters is Bill Murray, arguably, and he kind of sleepwalks through 2. You can watch, when you watch Ghostbusters 2, you realize how much Bill Murray doesn't want to be there, to the point where he's not even suited up for the majority of the movie. Everybody, it's Ernie Hudson, Dan Aykroyd, and Howard Ramis. They're all doing the grunt work, and he's like out to dinner with Sigourney Weaver. And behind the scenes, I bet Bill Murray's like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that Ghostbustery shit. I'm not doing it." He's very good.
He's starts the whole song. He's like, do, re, mi,
Yeah, that's at the
fa.
end. That's at the end. But through most of the movie, he has like this contempt for the material. Anyway, I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, I think it's been years for me too, as well.
Groundhog Day, they
Really?
say ruined. Groundhog Day. People say, yeah, Groundhog Day apparently ruined the relationship between Harold Ramis, who directed it, and Bill Murray. Like they didn't speak for. I mean, I don't know if they ever spoke
Why?
again, because they had different directions of where the movie wanted to go, and I forget who fell on what side, but Bill Murray had a very clear idea of what that movie should be, and then. And I don't know if Bill Murray was going for more serious and Ramis was going for more comedy, or vice versa, or how that was switched up. But it's an easy thing to figure out, like to research, like, oh yeah, they butted heads about the direction of the movie, but I can never get into exactly what they disagreed about. And I think Bill Murray was disappointed in
Maybe
how
it was the pink slime.
no, not Ghostbusters. With Groundhog Day, I think he was
Groundhog Day.
he was disappointed in how Groundhog Day came out. So for whatever reason, which of course is a matter. Okay, so somebody says they made up on Ramis's death. That's kind of cool. But yeah, they wouldn't talk. There was a big article where Murray kind of talked about it. I want to say it was in Vanity Fair or something like that. I don't know. I'm getting caught up, but he was really like he didn't want to talk about it. Like it was like still, and that was at that point like 10 years after. But yeah, anyway.
No, it's funny that his brother was in that movie, and he was the guy that was choking.
Yeah, his brother. I forget his name. There's two. He has two brothers.
Yeah, he was in Ghostbusters as well.
Right, but who's the younger? There's another Bill Murray's brother, not the older one, the guy who's like.
I don't know about the younger one.
So okay, he has the chat can help me out. There's a movie called Moving Violations that came out in like '85, and it was like his brother, Bill Murray's brother, was the star. John Murray. Somebody said it. John Murray. He was going to be like the next Bill Murray, and it just never took off. And he's also in Scrooged, the younger brother. But I've never seen him in. I've only seen him in Moving Violations and Scrooge. I've never seen him in anything else.
I love Scrooged.
Yeah, and Scrooge is another movie that Bill Murray hates. Like that was another movie that like had creative differences.
I'm sad to find out all these things.
Yeah, Brian Doyle Murray is the older one, right? And who directed Scrooge? I forget who directed it. It's late. I normally know these things. I'm really on top of this nonsense talk, but I can't.
Did you meet him? Did you talk to him personally?
Yeah, I did meet him once. I did meet Bill Murray once.
Okay.
It was like the quickest meeting you'd ever have.
Are we on the same page? We met a lot of famous people. I majored in broadcast journalism.
Really? Who's the most famous person that you met who was the worst person? Like flat out horrible human being?
Sean Penn.
Really?
Yeah, he was really, really bad.
What made him bad?
He just it was funny because it wasn't even anything attached to my Emerson College education. My mother and I and my brother went out to California, and we stayed at the Renaissance Hotel, and it was just like a random thing.
Right.
She did not realize that it was Oscars time.
Right.
They snuck a lot of people inside that hotel, and Slumdog Millionaire, all those people went in there, and Sean Penn was in there, and I was like, Sean, and he rolled his eyes, and he was like,
yeah, he's one of these people that like hates any kind of like he's one of these actors that like hates the
yeah, he was just like annoyed with our presence, and I felt really hurt because I appreciated his like I thought he was stupid in whatever that retarded movie he was in. He acted retarded, but
I Am Sam.
He was stupid, but other than that, I think he's a pretty good actor.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I mean, I always think it's a pretty much a safe bet just not to meet your heroes because they're always going to disappoint you.
Right. I was very disappointed, and I have to say that's the biggest asshole I ever met.
All right, so who was the best?
Best, Adrian Brody.
It's not. It's not a name. It's not a name yet. I don't. You don't hear of him too much anymore. Why was he? Why was he so good?
Same night. Same night. We were all just like, okay. So we were staying in this hotel, right? So the hotel manager was like, "You guys." We were in the gym. He's like, "You have to act like you're working out, otherwise you can't stay here and see these stars."
Right.
So we were pretending to lift weights, and Adrian Brody came by, and he was like, "Oh, you guys lifting weights?" And he was making conversation with us, and he was really, really nice. It was the year of the pianist.
Okay, so I forget what year that is. Like early 2000s.
Yeah, but he was so nice. He just like went out of his way to talk to us, and I thought that was nice.
That's cool. Hey, Rod Stewart bought my mom dinner once. And, I always think of, like she like my mom was like a big Rod Stewart fan, and she was like down in Florida somewhere, like visiting a friend of hers. I wasn't dinner; it was lunch.
Cool.
It was lunch, and it was.
Was
like,
it at the Poundtown Blue or whatever that?
I guess he could tell, like he could tell that this table of older women were like, clearly knew who he was and were talking about him, and
So your mom's hot?
She's she's very attractive for her age. This is a good 20 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
But I remember. I haven't posted the Perry workout video yet, but I will. Anyway, so I'm going off her story because I wasn't there. But they were just talking and like looking, but they had the respect enough not to go over to his table. And so he's having lunch with whoever, and it's somewhere in Miami or Palm Beach or something like that, some palmy place in Florida. And
Palm Beach, probably.
yeah, that sounds right. And so anyway, so he gets up and he takes care of his bell, and then he passes by. She said he put both hands on their table, and he goes, "Ladies, your lunch is on me. Please, I was like, I just wanted to say hello. It was lovely seeing you." And that's all he did. And he walked out. Didn't even wait for them to say thank you. And I just thought that was such a great, so anytime I hear something about Rod Stewart where people like say something bad about him, I just say, well, look, the guy was nice to my mom. The guy bought my mom lunch. So it's just such a great, that's a class move. No matter, and he could have a million other bad stories where he was an asshole to so and so. But
that's funny because I have the same story about Dustin Hoffman about my mom. He was checking her out, like, because my mom has she's well racked, if I may.
Sure.
And it was
the type. I know a guy who likes that type, by the way.
And he was looking her up and down. She was just looking at Tiffany's window, and he came up beside her, and he was checking her up and down. And she's like, "Dustin Hoffman, check me out."
So that that was it. He hit on her, or did he engage her, or he was just staring at her?
No, he was just looking at her.
So he was being lecherous.
That's the best it gets. Yeah.
That can go either way. That can be really creepy or really flattering, depending on how you take it.
Yeah, I don't know how to take it. I don't know who he's with right now, or I don't know.
Didn't he have some kind of scandal? Good night, Dank. We'll see you Friday. Didn't Dustin Hoffman recently have a scandal, like some kind of thing, like weird sex thing with some younger person? Or am I making that up?
I didn't hear of it, but probably. They all do, don't they?
Yeah. Well, not all of them. Some of them. All right. So we'll wrap this up by I want to ask you, what's the worst thing you've ever done?
Worst thing I've ever done?
Worst thing you've ever done.
Like, what do you mean?
It could be subjective. It could be something you did that when you were a kid that you still haunts you. It could be something you did yesterday. The worst thing, in your opinion, that you've ever done.
I guess I drove drunk home, and I got away with it.
I've done that. Who amongst us hasn't done that? How drunk were you? Where were you driving from?
I was really drunk, and I'm blessed I got away with it.
How long ago was this? Statute of limitations probably over.
Oh my God, we're talking about maybe 23.
Okay, I happen to know the statute of limitations on drunk driving because I looked it up, because I have a crazy I have a crazy drunk driving story. Not, and again, it's not something you ever boast about. Like it's not like, hey, it's
hell
one
no.
it's one of these things that you just, it's a miracle.
I have a job. I don't want to post this shit.
Yeah, it's a miracle that you survived it. And yeah,
Miracle
mine
I
was
didn't get caught.
you're right. From my story, I'll tell it another time. But like the next day, all I was doing was anticipating a knock at the door from the NYPD. Like, yep, we got your license plate, and we've come to get you, and you thought you made it, but no, we were watching. And I remember wearing like comfortable clothes that day because I was like, yeah, I'm going to be spending a couple of days in jail.
No, I actually got in a full-out accident, and they were like, okay.
Oh, you drove away from an accident? Wow.
No. They took my breath, and they were like, they're like, how much did you have to drink tonight? And I lied, and I said like 2 beers. I'm like, okay, it was a little more than 2 beers.
The standard answer.
They took pity on me. They're like, pull aside.
Oh, gee, what year? This would not happen today. What year was this? Who was president?
It was a really long fucking time ago. It was probably like 2003.
Yeah. Okay. Different era. Yeah. There's no way that would fly today. There's no way you're getting out of that. There's no fucking way. That is. I've never had. Oh no, that's not true. I was about to say I did get pulled over when I was like first 21, and I did the whole thing. I did walking the straight line, and I did the alphabet, whatever they touch your nose, and I did it all fine. But
no, they full out breathalyzed me, and I failed, and they let me go for whatever reason.
I think because you were a female. I don't think.
That's what my guy friend said. He's like, it's because you're a fucking girl.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I think that's what it was, and maybe the officer took pity on you or whatever.
Yeah, and it was Halloween, and I was all dressed up, so maybe I look really pretty or something.
What were you dressed up as?
A flapper.
Okay, yeah, there you go. That would work on me if I was an arresting officer, but I don't think they can get away with that anymore. I really don't. I don't know,
but whatever reason, they let me go.
Do you still drink?
Yes.
Okay. I know. I've known people that have had that experience and like they stopped drinking. I'm like, yeah, that's not happening.
I do not drive. I don't own a car. I haven't gotten in trouble since. But,
yeah, you live in the city. Have you always lived in the city?
For the past 10 years or so.
Okay. And where were you previous?
Long Island.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So you did the opposite.
So the Westchester fire died, did it?
Westbury. And no, it's still going. It's still there. I mean, you can see the smoke. It's still there.
That was really scary. Is your daughter okay?
I don't have a daughter. What are you talking about?
I thought you had a kid in your picture or something.
No. Oh, no, it's my niece. That's my niece.
Oh.
Sorry, no, she doesn't live. No.
So you live all alone in a house in Westbury?
I don't have a house in Westbury. I have an apartment, and I was on the deck. Well, no, my office is right next to the window, and I could see the fire raging. I didn't notice it until like I'm looking. I'm like, oh, there's some weird light. Like, is the sun? Yeah, somebody said you must be thinking of my brother Tim Brennan. But yeah, so there was this big like that fire. It was just crazy. Now it's just like it's still there. It's like I hate to say it because it's such a weird. It's such a weird comparison.
I'm not trying to be dramatic, but be careful of the smoke inhalation. Okay?
Yeah.
If it's too much, then go away.
It reminds me of a little bit of what 9/11 was like a week after, where you see like the huge smoke trail. Not to compare it to that, obviously, I'm not making that comparison, but it's just like just looking at it, it's just like yeah, it's just still. I mean, I don't know where that area is either. I've never been in that direction, so it's just whatever.
You said it's a bunch of commercial buildings.
That's what it said when I looked it up on Google. That was the news report, but I don't know. I mean, it was fucking big. I mean, you guys saw it. So.
I saw. We saw.
So you should when you hang up with me, you should say. You should message Hiro Nagasaki because he wanted to know what you were wearing. But I'm too much of a gentleman to relay that question, so I'm not going to ask it.
Thank you. This is Perry Caravello live.
We'll talk to you on Sunday. Well, you'll talk to Perry on Sunday, I'm sure. All right, let's get some sleep. Thanks for calling in.
All right, it was a pleasure talking to you, Tom.
Bye, Liz.
Bye.
Does anybody else want to jump in on this before I turn this? I can't go 8 hours. It's 7:43. I should say somebody. I love you and I want you inside. That would have been a little weird. I do like. I don't know how did that whole thing of I love you and I want you inside me start? Because I'll tell you what. I get straight up nervous when that is said on a phone call because I feel like he's gonna say a bad word. And I kind of curl up inside. I'm like, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. But I don't know who. Did it start as a phone? Was it a subscriber Sunday thing where somebody said it in person, or was it said on a tip comment? Oh, you messaged me your Skype. Let's see. Kirk. Let me see if I can get this going. All right. Let me see. I'll do a Skype call and then we'll call an end to it. Yeah, I love you, Perry, because like the timing of it. Some people have done the timing insanely well. I think like I don't want to credit the wrong person, but there was one of them a few weeks back, maybe it was a month ago, where it was like, "I love you," and he was like, "Thank you, and I want you inside me." You're disgusting. You're a And it was like it could not have been better. It was like music. It was so crazy. It was just, but again, I get nervous with that. He's gotten a lot better, but I do get straight up nervous. Okay, let me see if I can do this. Yeah, we're testing this out. This is like Liz was a beta tester for this, but I like this because it's just not me talking to the chat. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna call somebody here. I gotta type it in manually because I don't feel like opening my browser. Give me 1 second. I feel like Perry when he's dialing somebody. Okay, this is him. I hope this is him. All right, Kirk, I'm calling you right now. Let's do a regular call.
Hello.
Hey, Douglas, what's up?
Hey, not too much, Tom. How you doing?
Oh, this is working. Okay, good. We can do this. Does everybody hear him? Give me a test 1 2.
Test 1 2 test.
Chat's a little delayed. I just want to get a confirmation that they can hear you. Yeah, they can hear you. Cool. Where are you?
Sure.
Where are you? And where are you calling from? And can I have your last name? And
Kindly remind me where you are.
Now, I used to know a Kirk back in Palm Springs. Is that you?
I'm currently in Sydney, Australia.
Oh, fuck, really?
Yeah, and I'm in a lockdown. Well, so when air crews come in, so I guess I should back up. I'm an international pilot, and I just fly around the world basically when I'm working.
Oh, wow.
And I call home Michigan like Dan Barney does.
Okay.
And so my first trip was out of LA to Sydney, Australia. Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah, because you're the. It's funny. I was thinking about you because you wrote me about the hotel points.
Yeah, like if you needed a place to stay,
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Right.
Yeah, I've got like a bunch of points backed
up.
Yeah,
I might be hitting you up for that pretty soon.
Okay, yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, that offer still stands, definitely. And so when we get to Australia, it's kind of funny because it's like a place I've always wanted to go my whole entire life. I've been here over a dozen times, Australia, and I've never seen it because we are literally put in our hotel rooms the police escort us to our actual hotel room, and then they don't give us a key. Like we cannot leave the room, no matter what, no matter how many days we're here. Yeah,
Really?
crikey. Doesn't matter how many days we're here. We have to stay in our room. So
So
no kangaroos for me.
so how long have you been in the same room?
Not long. This is actually about now's right around 24 hours at this point. But I leave on the 7th, so that'd be tomorrow night, basically, which isn't too bad. But some guys, they're here sometimes for like 5 days, and they don't even get to get out of the room or anything. So
Okay,
it's
so they don't do the 2 week
just kind of
thing.
no. I mean, well, unless they suspect you having COVID, then you'd be here for 14 days, pretty
Right,
much no
right,
matter.
right, right.
Yeah,
Are you vaccinated and you're still locked in?
it doesn't matter. Yeah, seriously, it's kind of weird. Like there's actually like I'm not kidding you. Like there's people in the hallway like just waiting for somebody to come out so they can report you for leaving your room and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've heard because well, so Australia is basically like not for you obviously, but regular Australia like they're living life like this basically never happened, right? Like it's not a big deal.
Well, even here, I mean, like even downtown Sydney, nobody wears masks or anything because nobody has COVID, so they don't have to worry about it, right? So
Right.
it's like, although today I guess a story broke that somebody did, so they've actually reduced things back to 5 o'clock as far as things shutting down and stuff like that. So it's changed, ever changing. But for us, it's always the same. We just get in our hotel room. They throw us in the room and go, "All right, mate. If you have a reason to leave your room, it better be a good one. Have a good night." And that's pretty much what we do. So
And you get
yes,
free
the Earth
meals.
is Carl. The Earth is definitely flat, and chemtrails is how I get paid. It's by the chemtrail. So
How do they go about the food? Do they just deliver it like room service? Like leave it outside the
yeah, we
door?
get the hotel food, and it's like you get your 3 meals a day kind of thing. At least they give you a choice, which is kind of nice. So
Jeez Louise. So when you leave tomorrow night, where you
yeah.
going back to the airport and flying out?
Yeah, I go to the airport, fly out. I go to Singapore, supposedly for the night there, and then I go to Hong Kong, which is we don't stay in Hong Kong at all right now because of all the issues there. And then I go to Nagoya, Japan, and that's where I'm going to actually overnight. And that place is awesome. I mean, if anybody's ever been to Japan, I'm sure they can attest to that. But it is just a really cool country.
I
Just
would
neat
love
to
to go to
see.
Japan. Yeah, I've never. My thing is I'm not the best flyer. Not that I'm a bad flyer. I just no. I'll tell you the truth. I just have to have the money to fly first class if I'm flying that far.
Oh,
Like
tell
I
me about it. I hate flying. That's the worst part of my whole job. The worst part
yeah.
of my job is actually getting to the airplane to go flying.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not even it's not the actual flying. It's the airport stuff. It's the getting to the
Yes.
airport, getting through security, waiting for at your gate, paying $6 for a bottle of water,
Yeah.
and then getting on the plane. Yeah, all that stuff. That's the stuff that irritates me. But when I look at like, what's the airline that flies to Australia pretty regularly that has like is it
Qantas?
not Qantas?
Okay.
They have like beds at this point. They basically have like full bedrooms.
Oh, Emirates, probably.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew somebody that flew on that. I guess it had to be last year before the pandemic, and basically flew to I think flew to Sydney, and was just in a like basically went to sleep when the plane took off, and slowly woke up out of a nice nap, and
Oh, yeah.
was about ready to land.
Well, the A380 that they had, I mean, they had showers on board, and a couple of my buddies got to fly first class on that I work with, and they said they were at the bar in the airplane, and they're sitting there drinking, and then the seatbelt sign came on, and they're like, "Oh man, I guess we have to stop drinking and go back to our seats." And the bartender was like, "Oh no, there's seatbelts on the seat, the stool you're sitting on," and they're like,
Oh
"Really?"
my
And yeah,
god.
sure enough, there was. They just buckled up and kept drinking.
How great! I flew Virgin Atlantic used to be like that. I flew Virgin one time, first class, like New York to London, and they had a bar like that where like you could there was seatbelts at the bar. That was like the greatest flight ever. But
Oh,
yeah, apart from that, if you're like flying, like although now, like what are the planes like? Are airports like are they getting more full? Like or is it like because I'm actually flying out to LA. I mean, again, sometime
yeah.
this month,
Good
and
question. It's back to normal. The only difference is everybody has a mask on. But other than that, like as far as the capacities and stuff like that, everything is totally back to normal in the U.S. I mean, here in Australia, it's still pretty easy to tell that it's not quite to where it was. But yeah, if you're going New York to L.A., yeah, give yourself some extra time. There you go. There's my my advice for the stream.
I was looking actually at Delta because I have like points on Delta, but I was actually just looking straight up. I was like, I wonder what. And this is a couple of weeks ago. I looked it up. It might have changed by now because they haven't given me a date. But I was looking at first class, like what a first class ticket would be, and it was not bad. It was like 600 something for first class, New York to LA.
Yeah, right now they're actually pretty. First class is actually pretty good, but don't expect it to stay that way for very long.
No, I don't. That's why I kind of want to get it over with quick, like I did.
Yeah.
But so when are you like? Where's your home? When are you getting back to Michigan?
About 13 days from now, I'm gonna actually end up going back to the U.S. In fact, I'm supposed to go to New York. I'm actually gonna go from Bahrain to JFK, then JFK to Cincinnati, then Cincinnati to Bahrain, then Bahrain back to Hong Kong. So yeah, I pretty much just circle the globe over and over again. But I'd rather do that than fly in the airlines as a passenger. So there you go.
Yeah, I bet. But there's this YouTube channel I used to follow. I don't know if it's still up, but there was like corporate pilot's life, and all they do is like film there. I don't know if they still have the same channel, because I haven't seen it pop up in my algorithm in a long time. But they would just like they would fly like Learjets.
Well, that's what I used to do. I used to fly corporate charter as my last job, actually, and that's how I was able to fly Daniel Craig. I flew Bill Murray. I flew Jewel. I flew oh God, what's her name from or Hermione from that movie.
I can't think of her name either. I know you're talking about.
Yeah,
Emma something. They're all named
Emma Watson. Yeah, I flew her. But yeah, Bill Murray was by far the coolest I ever flew. I flew Matt Stafford. You guys were talking about like who was a dick. Matt Stafford, the quarterback that used to be the quarterback for the Lions. He was
Dick?
The biggest dick to me. Yeah,
Really?
He's kind of a jerk. Yeah.
In what way? Like, was just demanding, or just like couldn't give you the time of day?
Couldn't give me the time of day, and it was so weird because the day before I flew Brett Favre, and he was awesome, as you'd probably expect. He was a really cool guy, and I'm not kidding. The next day I went and picked up him and his wife and their friends in the Bahamas, take them back to Peachtree. That's Atlanta. And yeah, he just acted like I was the help, kind of whatever.
And that's like the relationship, especially in an intimate setting like that. The relationship with your pilot has to be so such a genuine thing where you'd want to like overly like not kiss ass, but like be a real person. Like, hey, thank you, I appreciate it. You're taking care of me, but to treat I always hate it when people treat service people poorly, but
yeah.
A pilot is on a different level. That's just like,
I wish they agreed.
I don't get that. I mean, do you give somebody like that like an extra bumpy ride? Like, I'm just gonna fly a little lower to get some extra.
Well, I'll say this: I'm not. If they're like that, I'm not easy on the controls. Like it's it's like it's like I have a soft ride and a harsh ride setting, and I'll and maybe I won't find a better altitude if there is turbulence.
Right.
Like always
Sorry,
looking
we're gonna
like,
be stuck in
shit,
this for quite some time.
Where's the good ride at? Be asking air traffic control and stuff, but it's like if it's bumping around, you're like, fuck these people, we'll just stay here. Yeah.
That's so funny. So how do you go about, like, do you actually watch Perry's streams when you're like in these far off places?
Oh, all the time. Yeah, I mean, in fact, like it's funny because like I'll be somewhere like where I can actually get out and walk around, and people are like, hey man, let's go get this, let's go get a drink, let's go get dinner. Like, man, shit, I'm tired. I'm sorry, I want to go to bed, but really it's just to go watch the stream.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. So like and I mean my to give you an idea of how far back I go with the big three and Perry. I mean I watched the Windy City Heat when it was on Comedy Central. I was
That's
so
OG.
blown away. I was so blown away by it and thought it was so fucking hysterical that I was so bummed they didn't like keep replaying it, because like I watched it when they premiered it with the Hebrew Hammer, like when that
the Hebrew Hammer. I remember watching that too.
Yeah, and so like when I saw it, I was so bummed. I was just like, man, I wish I could get a copy of this somehow. And then they played it again late night. Comedy Central did, and it was the unedited version,
Right. If
right?
they played it after 12 o'clock, they could play all the
Yes.
curses.
And I managed to actually tape it on VHS, and I
Yeah,
and I
because
actually like
2003 was right before the digital age of like
yeah.
it was like the last gas of like it's like some people had TiVos, whatever, but you didn't really have a way to. There was no on demand anything. It was just
No. And so I got it on VHS. I ended up like taking it to school with me and like to literally to flight school, right? Because I was training to be a pilot at the time, and like passing it off to my friends and stuff. And it was kind of like a viral VHS tape, where you
I
just
remember
pass
seeing
it.
it on Comedy Central too, and I remember at the time it was not a great time in my life, and I was I just I forget I had a screener of it like on DVD, and I just been meaning to watch it. And it was nothing else. There was just it was a Saturday night. I had recently gotten out of a relationship, long-term relationship, and I was just like one of these things. I was feeling sorry for myself, and I was like, I'm just gonna watch this stupid thing because enough people that had told me that it's something I should watch. This is before it aired. And I remember I was into it right away. I was like, but I remember, which is such a cliche thing to say, but that scene where that fucking craft service table gets knocked over, I don't think I've ever laughed that hard in my life. I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever, because I wasn't expecting it. And at that point in the movie, I was so invested. And by that point in the movie, you also kind of get Perry's temperament. You get the roles of everybody. You get Mole's role,
Yeah.
you get Don's role, and you kind of get it. And it's such a great payoff, and it comes at the right time in the movie. And I couldn't breathe. I was on the floor, and
Yeah.
I'm not a laugh out loud guy. I couldn't breathe, and I immediately called a friend of mine over, and I was like, you have to come over right now and watch this movie with me. And I finished watching it, and then he came over, and then we just started like drinking, and then watched it again. Like I watched it again. He was watching it the first time, and I laughed just as hard the
Yeah.
second time with him watching it than I did like the first time. That's just and again, it's like you can never recreate those moments where you see something for the first time and it's just like it's like
You can't
oh my
like,
God.
and sometimes I say shit from that movie, and people have no idea what I'm on about. Like sometimes like somebody will tell me like something going on, and I'll say, well, it sounds like there's trouble brewing up, and I
Yeah,
do
right.
that motion like I have that giant stick in my hand.
Well, I still have
He's-
this thing with the same friend. Like I mean, not lately, but like we'll go see a movie together, and like he'll be late in coming over, whatever, late meeting me there, or late picking me up, and I'll always call and be like, "Yeah, I'm on the way," and I'll just say, "It's called movie premiere." And that's just code. That's just code for me not wanting to be late to the movie.
Oh, that's perfect.
It's like it's just a shorthand we've had for It doesn't matter like now that I spoke that I'm talking with Perry. That doesn't matter. It's like it's almost a completely separate thing, and I could have other. Or the other thing that comes up is like we'll ask each, a question will come up and we can be in a group or it could be by ourselves. It's whatever the question is. Like, have you ever done this? Have you ever karate chopped a block of wood? Have you? And the default answer is many times. Many times. Have I chopped wood? Many times. Many times. And we've done it at like a group table, like a dinner, like where there's other people, and like somebody else will ask the question like to him or something. It's like, oh, have you ever been to China? Have I been to China? Many times, many times. And it's just like these little obscurities, not the big ones, not the big. Why is the red bat even there? It's always the small little because again, you see something so many times, you pick up on the the little nuances.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like I taught my daughter the other day. It was like a couple months back now. God, it was a while ago. But she has a younger brother, my son, and he was bothering her, and I told her that she had to don't get upset, unleash the fury.
Right.
And so I actually got her to do that whole little skit with me where I'm like, what are you gonna do? She's like, unleash the fury. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Unleash the fury. So yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
like,
there's a
little
couple
things
there's
that
a
get
couple of
ingrained.
other God, I haven't seen it in a while, but there's a couple other little subtle lines that like there's like little things that he says that it just it's just ingrained in my brain even now,
Yeah.
and again I disassociate, like talking
Like,
again, it's a guy that I probably hear his voice more than any other human being. I mean,
yeah.
by far.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
can
for
still
you
enjoy
especially.
like
Yeah.
like I can't listen to the Big Three podcast at all. Like I can never listen to that because it just doesn't do anything. It does like it's too fuck. I don't know what the right thing to like. Either I'm too close to it or it just doesn't. That would be like it'd be like work to me listening to it. It'd be like it'd be like
Sure.
just calling him up and chit chatting. You know what I mean? But like
Right.
but Windy City Heat still has that special. I haven't seen it in a little bit, but every time I've seen it, it still brings back that first time. It'll never replicate the first time. It's like the first time I saw, like, shit. It's gonna sound hacky even mentioning Borat, but I remember seeing Borat in the theater when that was a packed theater in New York City, and
Yeah.
people were crying, like laughing, and I'll never forget that. I've seen it since, and I try to remember what it was like seeing it that first time, but it just doesn't compare. It's never. You can never see. You can never. I almost would like my memory wiped so I could. And that's
Yeah.
something Gavin would say, like, so you could experience it again.
Right. I know exactly what you mean. And for me, like the part of that movie that made me laugh so hard that I couldn't breathe, where I actually got kind of, like those times where you laugh so hard that like you actually wonder if you're going to be able to inhale. It's kind of like getting the wind knocked
You
out of
right?
you,
Yeah, you get
right?
nervous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It was when the first time when Perry knocked over the table because he obviously did, and he went high pitched. I lost my shit, man. I totally lost
Yeah.
my shit on
Well,
that.
because there's, and I'll tell you what, I've seen that scene so many times, and now that I see it, I remark on so many things on how it's constructed, the scene. But if you look really closely, when like there's that overhead shot of Perry guard, like just the shot of Perry guarding it is funny, because he's taking it so
Yes,
seriously.
it is. It is hilarious. Yeah,
But
like
Mole,
why? Why would they
Mole
have him do that?
comes in that door, that like exit door, and he takes a beat, like he bends
Cough.
down and coughs. And
Yeah,
I don't know this. I'm just speaking as somebody who's seen the movie. I've never confirmed this with Mo or anything, but like I think he gets the shot of Perry, like he sees Perry there, and he can't. He has to take a moment, like he's almost laughing in a way, and he bends down and coughs, and then gets right into it. But that when I see that now, because I've seen it so many times, like now I see that little scene, I'm like, oh my god, that must have been so hard.
that makes it even funnier. What's funny is like I'll even do that sometimes. Like well, this is before COVID. Now I don't. I try not to do it, but I would walk
Yeah.
in somewhere and I'd actually cough like that, just because I thought it was funny. Because people would like look at you like, "What's wrong?" with you, you know.
Right, right, yeah. But just that whole, just the whole that whole time period too. And it was nothing, and I never understood. And then there was that weird period, not weird, but it was just a period where it was like the years that followed, like well before the DVD. It's like it was like it never happened, and like
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I
it was
actually
like that
remember going on
episode
the
of
Comedy
Seinfeld
Central
where
website.
George goes to that nightclub and nobody believes him, and it was just like,
Yes.
no, it was here. It was here. Oh, all these hot chicks, and it was here. It's like, no, there was this movie, and this is what happened in the movie, and I was like, no, what are you talking about? I never saw that movie. Where it was on Comedy Central. I watch Comedy Central all the time. I never heard of it. I never saw it. Like
Right.
it was like you just had to be there.
I mean, I even went on the Comedy Central website, up to the store, thinking, well, maybe they'll release it or
Yeah,
something.
because didn't they advertise like these things are coming soon, and then that never came out.
Yeah, and what was funny is you'd type it in, and one of Bobcat's albums or something, or one of his specials would come up. But
Right.
one time, I swear to God, just by a freak of nature, I typed it in again, and there it was, the actual DVD. So my copy I actually got from ComedyCentral.com.
That's
way
funny.
back. Yeah.
Well, there was like small pockets of communities that you, 'cause again, there's no Reddit, there's no Facebook groups or anything like that. But I remember at the time they don't have it anymore, which is a shame. But IMDb had a huge message board about like whatever movie you go to. If you go to Rocky, there's a message board about Rocky. But there was a great message board on IMDb where people would talk about the movie, and it would be like the only place you can go where people knew about the movie. And then oddly enough, in the intervening years following, like Perry hit me up on MySpace and started talking about it. I was like, wow, that's the fucking guy. That's the fucking guy from Windy City Heat. And he's like talking like he knows me.
Yeah.
And of course he didn't, but
Right. I think I was friends with Perry on MySpace as well, which is really
yeah,
kind
he was
of
a
weird.
big deal. He was actually a big deal. He lived on there, like well past the expiration point of MySpace too. Shockingly, like in keeping with Perry fashion, he stayed on MySpace well after the point of no return.
It doesn't surprise me a bit.
Well, it's the guy that's still rocking 3 VCRs and a tape deck. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. So
and not for archival purposes. For like,
right. At least
like,
if I ever found my coffee, I taped off TV, it would play at his house.
Yeah, that would be the place that it would work. You'd have to go because he has. I think he just no he doesn't because he used to have a regular like tube TV, but now
Right.
Now it was now he has now he's complaining that he has a newish TV but he can't hook up his VCR, and I'm like, well, what do you have? And I remember being at his place and all his VHS tapes were not necessarily like movies released on VHS. They were like taped off TV. Like he had
okay.
like he had a James Bond movie, but it was taped off like ABC, like with
Oh,
commercials and
man.
everything. Like, well, you could probably get this on Netflix with no problem, And so it's like those learning curves that are easy for the rest of us, not so easy for some people. So
That's funny.
but I think it's 8 hours and 10 minutes. I think I'm going to sign off.
Okay, Tom.
But this works. So this is good. This works. I did Liz on the phone. I did this on Skype, and you sound perfect. So I think we can work with something. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for...
This is the shit that happens all the time. Like somebody comes in and says, "TomB is still alive. Holy shit! I fell asleep hours ago when Perry signed off. What a beast!" Yeah, and these are the things that happen because we just talk. But hey, look. Good luck on the rest of your imprisonment. And
Thank you.
Is the room nice at least? Are you in a suite?
Yeah, it's not really a suite, but it's not bad. I've definitely had worse. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Because I think of hotel rooms I've had, and I'm like, there's some that I can deal with staying in a few days without leaving, and there's others where I would want to, claw my eyes out.
This one lands somewhere in the middle. I think for the time I'm here, it's going to be fine. If I had to be here for a week, I'd probably be at the claw my eyes out stage.
But you got another what, 24 hours?
Yeah, thereabouts. Yeah.
Well, the next time you call in, you're gonna be like in I don't know, where would you be? Like, where would you be a week from now?
There's no telling, honestly. I could be anywhere. I'll let you know.
Yeah, keep me posted. But thank you for this. This works really well. Thanks for calling in. And I'm definitely gonna maybe hit you up about, not to be a schnurr, but I might hit you up about those.
Not
points.
at all. Well, I offered, so absolutely do. Please do.
Well, thanks very much, and thanks again. Thanks for all the support.
Yeah, you're welcome. Cheers. We'll talk to y'all later.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Later.
Bye.
That was Douglas in Australia. So I think that was good with to call me. And I'll start this earlier next time because now I know this works. At least Skype works. I know a lot of people don't use Skype anymore. Skype works for this stream because that's how Perry has poured it in. That's how I'm able to run it with Perry. Although that's going to change now that. Not change permanently, but when I go out there, I'm gonna have to do it on his new computer, which is gonna be interesting. So, 8:12 is a good time to wrap it up. So I'll say good night. I'm gonna go walk this dog and breathe in fumes from that raging fire. Tom, you need to get a name for this stream. I am suggesting Tom Talk. Tom Talk sounds. I came up with After Hours with TomB, and I'll do that for now, unless we have a better thing with TomB and occasionally Perry. We'll do something. I don't know. It's got to be weird though if people like see that Perry's streaming, and then they tune into the channel and it's just me talking like over this thing. Show's Overtime with Tom and friends. That's not bad. I don't know. I like After Hours because it's kind of like bar related in a way. Like, does Darkside Phil have a pre-stream? Yeah, we'd have to. I've never raided before. Who would you raid to? I don't want to raid anybody. I think we have raids turned off. I don't think anybody can. Last Call. Yeah, but Last Call is a real show with Carson Daly. I thought about that Last Call, but it's like you got Last Call with Carson Daly. Tom B to Z. Yeah, I don't know. If I hear another name, I will quickly abandon After Hours. But for right now, and I don't know if it's worth it for me to get another channel or something. But I don't know what it is. Please. I'm talking out of my ass because this takes up so much of my time that I don't have. Yeah, I will get new graphics. All that shit I will take care of. Like these are the early days of doing that. And I can't do this every time. I can't do it 3 days a week. But I'll get you something better to look at than this, and I'll get a camera or whatever. We'll get something better to look at. Yeah, because I always wonder, like, it's one thing watching this live, but like, if you like watching it back, like, is it better just to hear the audio version, or would you want to see the chat comments? Tom's PLC post-mortem, but do we really post-mortem that much? I feel like we go kind of all over the place. I think it is too late to get Carson Daly, unfortunately. I don't know. I understand why you say that about getting trashy heavy metal fonts for Perry, but I kind of like this. I don't know. It's like this like 80s Tronish, somehow like Automan type like design to it. I think it's very Perry. The palm trees, I like everything about it. Yeah, synthwave aesthetic is a good way to put it. I like it. I like the way it looks. So, yeah, Miami Vice, like that kind of, that kind of thing. It gives it. Right, but I think that's what it works. Like somebody, it's false advertising for Perry because this is futuristic and Perry is opposite. But that's what I kind of like about it. And again, I like the production value of this channel has gone up enormously, and that's thanks to a lot of things. But it's thanks to the moderators. It's thanks to Scott, who did this, came up with this, and spends a lot of time plugging things away. Because I only, I'm learning it as I go, but I'm not an expert with this shit at all. By any means. But I kind of like the high production value of a shitty setting, like Perry's apartment. But then there's there's fairly decent production value, with like the comments and the graphics and shit like that. There's more production value than that deserves. And I think that the next step is to upgrade his camera, get his camera a little sharper. Because right now he's just using a standard web camera that you would use, at home on like a Zoom call or something like that. But I think if you're broadcasting, he probably needs something a little more sharper or whatever. But then again, I don't know with that room, I do remember when Scott wore the toupee and they lacerated him for it. Poor Scott. Yeah, 4K camera will probably. I gotta again. I don't know. Like I'm not huge. I'm learning this as I go too. Like I don't like. Would he be able to maintain a DSLR camera? would he be able to like, set it up right? I mean, you see how he fucking turns this camera now. I'm like, okay, like, well, I always like quiver in fear when it's that like hand that reaches out to the camera, like, oh no, here we go. He's gonna get the camera all gunked up, and we're gonna, he's gonna move it on. No, I think even if I think we'd still stream in 1080p, even if you got a 4K camera. I don't think we would stream in 4K. There's no way. That'd be a little much. I think 720 sorry, not 720. 1080 is just fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's an okay camera, but it's not as crisp as other streamers. I would like it a little more crisp. He's using a Logi Stream Cam, which doesn't even do 4K. Do you understand I don't understand all the Dark Side Phil stuff. No, I don't. I never knew who Dark Side Phil was until this rivalry popped up. I have no idea who he is. Never watched him. Never heard of him. But it works for Perry because he has I think Perry works best when he has a antagonist to work with, and I think Darkside Phil fills that slot pretty well. Also it gets him out of baby mode where he's like, hey, this is what Darkside Phil wants, and in a way, it's one of those things where it's like it was a fabricated rivalry that has turned into a legitimate rivalry because Perry is outdoing him numbers wise, like live views. Phil still has an insane amount of followers that Perry will take a long time to catch up to, but he'll get there eventually. And as far as engagement goes, he can't compete with Perry on any level. There's no way. Yeah, Samuel does need to put up some money. But yeah, I know a lot of people are lost on the Dark Side Phil stuff, and they don't necessarily get it. But it's worked out, It's worked out for the channel, especially, when he catches himself going into like a rage, and it's funny. I get like it's cool when he's like raging out about basic stuff, just enough rage. But when he gets to that really nasty shit, like he gets into this guttural like where he turns on me, and he's like, and he does that fake like Wolfman angry voice. He's like, fuck you, he's like real, like I can't even do it. I can't even come close to doing it. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. I want this stream to be over. Like that shit. Like that really fucking annoys me because it's bullshit, and that fucking really fucks my voice up. And he's just putting it on. And he's just trying to get it. He wants to throw his garbage away or whatever. And it's funny in small doses, but not when he shuts down, like where you can't get him back, and it's just not for so much the hardcores like you guys, but like the new people that come in. Wolfman Jagoff, that's a good name for it. Like new people that come in, they're just seeing this guy and they're hearing this voice, me, like as if I'm putting this guy up to doing stuff that he doesn't want to do, or like, and that's not good for like new look-ins. So I don't like to, so I like to minimize that as much as possible, because the truth is he does like doing this and he's very proud of it. He is like, off hours, even sometimes on hours, he's very proud of this channel and where it's gone. And as he should be. He's we can't deny the fact that he's definitely put in some effort. Is it the same level of effort that moderators put into it? Is it the same level of effort that I put into it? No, but he does. He does have room to pat himself on the back a little bit. So I know he's proud of it. But then when he says stuff like "fuck this," I don't want it. This is the last stream. We're not doing this anymore. Fuck you, get out of here, get off my computer, that, I don't know, there's only so much of that I can take, and I got to exercise an extreme amount of adrenaline control when he gets like that, because that, like, my first instinct is to like, hey Perry, shut the fuck up and sit there, and I snap, but I'm like, my go-to is just be very calm. Like, Perry, it's not polite. I don't deserve to be talked to that way. And sometimes he comes out. Hey, yeah. By the way, how great was that air conditioning egg? And I think that'll be there for a while. There's also, you got to figure the one in the popcorn tin is probably still there, and the one under the cushion, I would imagine, is still there. So I forget how many else there were, but I think there's quite a bit laying around. I had a bet with when I signed on tonight to do just connect with them for the first time. I had a bet with myself: will that air conditioning egg be up there? Because that's the only one that's like you get a visual cue of, and I was 90% that yes, it would be there, and 10% no, but it did bring us. I know it made a lot of people happy because I was getting messages from people during the stream that were just saying like, "I'm so happy to see that egg." like just that seeing that egg on the air conditioner makes me so happy. It's just like these ridiculously simple things that like make people happy. Greg says, talking nonsense with TomB. That could be. That's basically what it is. We spent a lot of time. I guarantee you there's no other Twitch stream that talked more about Sinbad tonight than we did. We covered Sinbad pretty good. No, the black guy from the pool party healed eventually. What was the thing with the toasted wolf puppet? Yeah, that's right. Never before have viewers had an egg hunt unbeknownst to the host. That's the one thing I'm actually kind of looking forward to going over to the apartment. As I'm not looking forward to going there, but I'm looking forward to looking under the cushion. I'm like, I want to look in the credenza, like on the bottom shelf, like to see those 2 eggs from like 3 weeks ago. Obviously when, he'd have to like not be there, but I'm like, oh shit, is it there? Is it there? Look in the popcorn tin, just, Is it 6 minutes until 4:30? All right, we'll do 6 minutes. 4:30 is a good time to get off. Hey, Sinbad had a good run. I mean, I never heard a stand up, but I always liked seeing him in things. He was, I thought he has a good screen presence. $50 to eat a pizza, anchovy pizza from Tom's Toast. Here's the thing. I don't know if I can do the stream inside his apartment with him. I just don't know if that's going to work creatively or technically on any level. I'm going to have to do it when I'm out there, but I don't know. I got to think about it. Like, I don't know if that's going to work at all. Like, I'd have to be either at my hotel running it from there or I don't know. Oh, right, yeah, I think he must have found the wolf puppet semi-recently because he didn't talk about it, but that was it. See, the thing about the wolf puppet is that was in the top drawer of the credenza, which I imagine he accesses more often. So it's probably got his socks in there, whatever's in there. So he probably saw that, and also the wolf is not an unoffensive thing to find in your credenza. It's not like finding food. The 2 eggs are on the bottom drawer. Whatever's in there, I don't know what's in there. And maybe one that he doesn't access as often, and plus eggs are harder to see in a drawer. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to wear something. I'm gonna have to wear some kind of protective gear in there. The puppet would maybe matter if it like smelled from like, being microwaved or whatever, but I don't think it was that offensive to him. Yeah, here makes me. The fact that the AC egg is still there gives you a lot of clues about the others, and maybe I'm not remembering all of them. The one inside the microwave, obviously, he's used the microwave, so that's not there. The one on the back of the microwave was taken off. Yeah, how is Perry completely unaffected by uber spicy stuff and the worst smelling fruit. His senses are dulled. Like like I was surprised with the durian fruit that he didn't comment on the smell. I don't know what it smells like. I've never experienced it, but he didn't comment on the smell once. What happened to Perry's old manager Nick? Nick's still around. I mean he's like, I've spoken to him on Facebook, but not, I don't think he's in the management business anymore. Yeah, I might have to do the stream from Perry's kitchen table or something like that. I don't know. I haven't figured out the logistics of it, but something. But yeah, anyway, getting back to Perry's senses, like, he can handle spice. So it's only the really extreme shit that he gets a reaction from. He got a reaction to the durian fruit the last time, but not today. And then that the Surströmming can, he really had a reaction to it both times, especially the last time. And that's the thing. Are me and Tom Barris fighting over the rights to Perry like a divorced couple? Like, no. No. There's no rights to Perry. Is it illegal to eat on public transport? Yeah, I would like, I'm curious to know what both smell like, because I have a regular sense of smell and he has a completely dull sense of smell, which also adds to his high tolerance of spice. I mean, he reacts to spice, obviously, like that Satan's blood, but that's an extract. Like, you go look at other people on YouTube who have done the one chip challenge, and I have a chip challenge here that he sent me, and I might try it one night on like one of these after streams, but fuck. Like, I'm sure they're pretty bad. Like I said, go look at other YouTube people doing the one chip challenge. Go look at the Satan's blood. Look at them with the Surströmming thing. There's people like vomiting. Perry handles all those things very well in comparison. So, and those are extreme examples. So I got 1 minute left, and it'll be the 8-minute 30 mark for the entire stream, and then it'll be 4:30. So we're winding down. Yeah, so I don't know what else is out there. We could talk about the system here. Yeah, we're coming up on, you were there. You were one of the few people that were actually in the room for the system hearing. Not many people can say that. It's officially 4:30. So you're Carlo Caravello. Yeah, I hope people get to see that one day, because it is really good. Just trying to close this. Okay, so I'm gonna say goodnight, respectfully and warmly. I will see you guys on Friday. I can't, and again, I can never guarantee another one. I mean, it's weird that people still tune in for this. Like, it's strange to me. Yeah, see, Faster Blade's a enabler. But no, I am gonna sign off, because I have to pee really bad. I haven't peed. Like, so I have like my bladder somehow knows. It's like when you fly, and like, you're gonna be in a seat for a long time, and like your body sort of like knows, like, okay, we won't get up unless it's an extreme emergency. I think that's like my body does for these streams. One of these nights I'll call Perry. But I don't want to do it tonight. I don't want to like unjustly piss him off, just for just for a guy. Yeah, the defiant pee. I don't get to take the defiant peas. That's why sometimes I'm so mad that he storms off and pees, because I'm like, I can't do that. Protest pee is a good term. But anyway, this was good, guys, and I'll get more calls going next time, whenever it is. Yes, Jar Jar Binks is really the one who's in charge above us all. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. I thought it was a okay stream. Pretty good. And when it was Wednesday, so I think a lot of people were confused by that. I think a lot of I didn't see a lot of regulars. I mean, I saw some regulars, but not a lot. How the fuck is Joey still like you have a similar schedule to me, like yours is worse, and you're up at 4:30. Fuck, that's dedication right there. That's the employee of the year, right there. Because I know the East Coasters. So are you staying up all night? Like, what are you doing? Are you staying up all night? Like, there comes a point where, like, you look at the time and you're like, well, I might as well just stay up. Yeah, there was that Sunday, I think it was last Sunday, or I don't know, the Sunday, whatever it was. Yeah, I was on here till like 5 something. It's okay, a couple of East Coasters. Wow. Well, shout outs to the East Coasters. Anyway, I know I keep saying this, but I really am going to end it. So thanks, guys. We'll see you on Friday, and Mailbag Friday. And there was something else I was going to mention about this stream. I can't for the life of me think about it right now because I'm a little fried. You have to be at work at 2 hours? Shit, I'm sorry. Fuck. Yeah, I'm not gonna stay up. I gotta be up at let's see, it's 4:30 now. I can get away with getting up at 8:30. That gives me 4 hours. I think I'll be all right. We'll see. I was gonna say something about. I'll save it for next time. I don't want to get caught up in another distraction. All right, guys. Good night. Thank you again.